Hello and welcome to the Yeerky Boys. May the Candrona shine and strengthen you. My name is Will.
My name is Jonathan.
And we are the
Yeerky Boys.
Oh yeah, I think we're getting better.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're doing, Book 13, The Change, everyone.
Yeah.
Our second Tobias book.
Our second Tobias book.
Mm-hmm.
This, you know how sometimes we talk about the titles of the books and how they don't mean anything?
Yeah.
I did like that in this book, there's a key scene where Tobias hits up 7-Eleven and he pays $8 for something that costs $7.50.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't give him his 2 quarters back. And that's sort of the crux of the book. Well,
I think you're being unfair to the shopkeeper. Like
like
Tobias.
I mean, this is something we're going to get into when that scene comes up.
He was a bit of a dick about it.
But yeah, that is the titular change.
Like, it wasn't entirely... I know food isn't taxable, but it wasn't... Anyway, we'll get there.
We'll get there. Titular Tobias. What do you think about that?
I think it's pretty good.
That's a good name for a spin-off starring Tobias. Yeah. Titular Tobias. We have plenty of time today, so we can totally afford to fuck around like this.
Yeah, absolutely. We're doing good.
We're not worried about anything. There's something before we get to the book. There's a little bit of pre-book business, but I don't know if you have any other pre-book business.
I don't. This is it.
Okay, so pre-book business. It's time for our special recurring segment, the sharing.
Oh yeah, it's recurring for sure. It's happened before multiple times.
The sharing.
Twice.
That's the jingle.
Yeah, we need a bump.
Now, this is when we read emails and or tweets from our listening public. And this week we have a listener email that comes in from Holy Spiritum, who, full disclosure, is a person we know in real life.
Yeah, we so far have not gotten any contact from anyone we don't know.
But we're using their handle, their internet handle to protect their identity.
Right. I guess.
Now, is this we did have one tweet from someone we don't know in real life, so at least we have that. Okay.
Oh yeah, I remember. Okay, yeah.
Okay. No one needs to hear this. Just skip ahead 20 minutes. We'll start talking about the book. But
no, I need to hear this email.
Yeah. This is for the listeners. We're going to hear it.
Okay.
But this is an important question, and it does kind of tie in a little bit to the last book and some before that, when we have been talking about the nature of yeerks and morphing and how some of that stuff works.
Mm-hmm.
This is a yeerk science question that maybe you'll be able to answer.
Oh, maybe.
The question is, can a yeerk cause its host to have a fatal stroke and survive its host's death? Could a yeerk, I guess it's kind of a 2-part question here. Could a yeerk incite a stroke in its host? And then would the yeerk also die along with the host, or would it survive?
I don't see any physical reason that it couldn't incite a stroke, but I do see narrative reasons in that we will see scenes in which yeerks kill their hosts. And they don't do it like that. They get their hosts to basically commit suicide and then escape after it's too late to save them, but before they're dead.
Well, I was going to say, are we asking if a yeerk can just think its host to death?
Yeah, I guess. Or like maybe since they're physically in the brain, wrapped around it and stuff, maybe they could wrap themselves around a blood vessel and choke it off or something. Like they are there, right?
Yeah, I guess that's true, but they're invertebrates. Like they don't have, they don't have muscles. They can't.
This is relevant to a question I'm going to have later in this book, which is what exactly does a yeerk look like when it's in a brain? right?
Yeah, we need a diagram of that.
Yeah, it's not clear to me what, because they like sort of, it's described as they like sort of like liquefy their bodies and ooze into the cracks or something. I'm not sure, but like, what does that
It's
look
hard to
like
tell how
physically?
much of that is metaphorical.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, the exact mechanics of it are a mystery.
Now, putting aside whether or not the yeerk could cause it, if I had a stroke, would the yeerk in my head die? I think we've talked about this. I think we said, I don't remember what we said. It could get out. Like the
Yeah, I
host
mean,
death doesn't kill the yeerk, right?
host death, I believe, can kill the yeerk, but they have some time to get out.
Huh. Okay,
like
interesting.
like generally speaking, when you see like hosts die or something, the yeerks are like scrambling to get out of their brains, but I'm not really sure exactly why that's necessary. Like it feels kind of like if you die in the game, you die in real life sort of scenario, that why does this happen kind
Yeah,
of
like a
thing.
yeerk doesn't. It's not like a yeerk will just die if it's outside of a host, right?
Yeah, yeah, and
So
it's not in anything living, then it's just like sitting on the sidewalk or whatever, so
maybe we'll uncover this more later in the series. Perhaps it will become clear to us.
yeah, these will be details that we'll keep an eye out for. Because like I said, I didn't, I've always had the impression that the Yeerks do, if a Yeerks host dies, they die, but they have some time to escape. Like they got like 30 seconds a minute or something, and so they're always running to get out. Um, but it doesn't make sense, and maybe that impression comes from being a kid and just not really understanding what was happening. And I just never updated it because I never thought about it.
Well, we're gonna think about it now. God damn it!
We sure are.
So, thanks for that email. This has been the sharing.
Yeah, and
And
we apologize not for getting to it earlier. That it actually came in while we were recording last week, so this could
listen,
have been, if we had been a little late to start like we are today. Uh, maybe
that's a risk that you take when you write an email to us. You
it
just gotta
is.
be aware of the risks.
You never know.
You don't need to apologize. We call the shots here. So maybe we won't even read your fucking email. Fuck you. But we would
We
love
will.
it if you sent an email in to our address, which is theyerkyboys@gmail.com. Okay. That's the sharing.
That's our sharing. Now
Well,
it's shared.
now we can share our thoughts and opinions on book 13, The Change.
Yeah. Let's start with our cover here. Uh,
Let's start with
we
it.
got we got Tobias with his arms kind of askew in an awkward position.
I
Uh,
love how they always you gotta move your arms to look like the animal before you morph.
yeah. Now he's not quite full T pose. He goes into a bird with his wings spread all the way, but he doesn't start full T. I think if a zoomer had designed this, he'd be T posing.
Maybe he'd be dabbing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then he could be like a dabbing. I don't know what a bird would look like dabbing, but
God, I would love to see Tobias dab. I'd love to see Axe dab.
oh shit, yeah.
Somebody
Andalite
draw
dabbing
that.
sounds really good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now these like I want to say second or third transition, but it's actually the third or fourth because I'm used to going from human to animal, but in this case we're going from animal to human.
Right.
Um, I like those ones in particular because they sort of remind me of the Rito, the bird species from the Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom games.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I'm
could
not.
have gone with like Hawlucha or something from Pokemon.
No, we had
That's
enough
a Hawk
Pokemon already.
Luchador.
No, no, I
I
don't.
do think this middle one is sort of like an iconic middle face to me when I think of like the weird middle face Animorphs.
Yeah. Now it is funny. So I don't know how much of this we don't want to get into right up top, but this is the second Tobias book, and as as we know, as is known at the start of this reading this book, Tobias is only a hawk.
Right.
And the other book he was in was him turning into a hawk. So at this point, you're questioning, is every Tobias book going to be him turning into a hawk? Are they just going to like switch up the angle, the direction of it a little bit or something?
Right. Yeah, how many bird poses can they get?
I
That
don't
is the
know.
the
Yeah.
primary difference on this one is the bird pose is completely different than the first time.
And it's going in reverse order, right? It's bird to
Yeah,
boy.
I guess that's true, but since I mean,
How do you know
well,
where it started, I guess?
yeah, it is in reverse order, and I guess you could probably tell, but like, I don't think I would even register. I'd just be like, yeah, bird and boy.
Yeah, and I guess that's, yeah, if you look at it close, and especially if you see the inside cover, it is a little revealing about what you might expect to happen in this book, although not maybe in the way you think.
Yeah, yeah. Now, the the inside we will have to talk about near the end. I don't want to talk about it in too much detail now
Ooh.
because I do think it's a little bit revealing.
Oh, well, so you don't even want to say what it is.
I mean, we can if you want to say what it is, you can, but
I
like
just
we can
feel
go over
like
it now if you want.
most people listening to this have either read the book or like they, if
Mm,
you had read this in real life, you would see that picture, right? No,
that's
I
true. That's
didn't.
true.
I didn't. I because in the
Yeah,
ebook
and
I
I
don't
know
see
you
those.
didn't. That's why I was kind of excited here.
But well, I mean, I mainly wanted to say that there's a picture of a cat on Tobias's bookshelf.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have that written down here. Yeah. I mean, well, let's do the inside. This is what you would have seen if you were a kid. On the front, you've got this quote: "Be afraid." Dot 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 dot. I don't know what that's about,
That's not, there's
but
nothing about fear. I don't know what that is referring to other than just generally yeerks are scary. Yeah.
yeah, they sure are. But if you were to open the first cover here, um, it would say it was only a dream, or was it? And then there'd be a little blurb from the book in here. And then we have this picture of Tobias the boy sitting in like a human bedroom looking at Tobias, presumably Tobias the bird. I don't know what other red tailed hawk there's going to be sitting on his dresser and they're looking at each other.
It is confusing.
It is a bit confusing. Yeah, if it's not clear what that means, then good, you weren't spoiled.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I just opened that up, I would really. I mean, there's no way you're gonna predict what it actually is. I don't think. Like it's. I
Yeah,
mean, like what, like how this scene occurs, and in what way.
yeah, that's
You're.
fair.
It's not gonna. You're not gonna know.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
And it's very possible that you could read this and just be like, oh, that's like a, maybe it's a metaphorical thing about the inner nature of Tobias or something. Although I think up to this point, all the inside
Yeah,
covers have been actual scenes. Well,
yeah, and
yeah,
there's a little bit of that sort of thing in the book as well. So
yeah, sure. His bookshelf has a basketball on it,
hmm
along with about 7 books. And two framed photos, one of which is a cat. I don't know if we know Tobias's cat's name or if that's
oh,
a.
his cat's name is Dude.
Oh, dude was his cat. Oh, that's right, because
Yeah,
that was his other morph.
right, right. Yeah, Fluffer McKitty was Melissa's cat.
Right. I couldn't remember whose cat dude was. Oh, now that's good. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And of
Now,
course, yeah, yeah.
there's a bit of trivia about the cat in that picture.
Oh my God, tell me.
Oh, do you not know that this is one of the bits of trivia I pulled from Seropedia
No,
for
I
this
didn't see
episode.
this.
Oh, that cat is actually illustrator David Mattingly's cat Orson, and he drew him in
Wow.
place of Dude.
Wow,
Yeah,
Orson.
that's Orson, the real life cat Orson.
Orson is a great name for a cat.
It's good. You think he's named after the pig from Garfield or like Orson Welles?
Yeah, it is one of those. It is one of those. I think I
Yeah.
named I'm sorry to bring up Pokemon again, but I feel like I
I'm not.
named like an Ursa ring Orson, because isn't like Orson is like a bear. or it's
Is
like
it?
it's no. Well, I don't know if it is, but isn't like
Could be.
I feel like Ursa Major is like the bear star, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
Ors kind of sounds like I think that might be
it
the
does.
etymology of it, or it just sounds like it. I don't
That
know.
it wouldn't shock me. Naming people bear is like a thing that happened, and Urs does sound like Urs. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
What does
You heard
Orson
it here
mean?
first, though,
Yes,
folks. Orson
yes.
means bear.
French and Latin origins meaning bear cub.
Oh yeah, yeah. You were onto something.
I think I remember this because one time I played an RPG. I shouldn't be. This is
No,
not relevant to
you
anything.
should be. We're just gonna have our first 3-hour episode. It's okay.
What I did a one-shot RPG one time that was like where I played a guy who I basically wanted to be Mulder. That was sort of my it was just a Mulder stand-in from
Right.
X-Files. And I named him Orson Creed.
Oh, that's a good name.
And I remember
Oh
this
man.
because, he's Fox Mulder, so Orson was kind of like a bear instead of a
Yeah.
fox. And Creed is like a belief, and Mulder wants to believe.
Yeah.
So that was my
That's good though. Even without knowing where
yeah.
that's coming from, that sounds like a paranormal investigator from the 90s.
Yeah.
Orson Creed. That's
Yeah,
just who that
yeah.
is.
Yeah, pretty great. Stay tuned for my new webcomic, The Adventures of Orson Creed.
Oh, I'm hyped for it.
All right. So anyway, it's a great picture.
There's another piece of trivia about this picture, also on Seropedia, though.
Okay. Yeah. We need to dwell on this.
One of these books, and I cannot tell by looking, maybe my vision is too bad, but it says one of these books on the bookshelf here is David Mattingly's book, The Art of David B. Mattingly. So
Damn.
Tobias has an art book by, I don't know which one it is. Presumably somebody figured it out.
So this is some Dark Tower shit where
Oh, maybe it's just the, yeah, that's it, right next to the picture of the cat, I think.
Oh, is that a book? I thought that was another photo.
Yeah, I thought it was too, but now I'm looking at it. I think that might be the art book.
Yeah, that
The
makes
Art
sense.
of David B. Mattingly. This is some Dark Tower shit.
Yeah, when do they meet K.A. Applegate?
Listen, Animorphs is canon to the Dark Tower universe. That's how Dark Tower works.
Yeah, it's true. Now, he's also got a hat here on the bedpost because do we know what sports team that is? It looks like there's a visible logo on it. I want to say I see an A and a T maybe or something.
Could be.
Maybe it's just a generic thing.
Sports guys, look at this picture and write in and tell us what team that is.
Yeah, I don't know. I just Googled sports logo. You think that'll come up with anything?
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe if you put Tobias after it, then you'll get it.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, it just came up. It's the Yankees. It could be the Angels.
Yeah. Yankees is the wrong coast.
That's my guess. That's my guest. Oh, Christ. All right.
Be our guest. Be our guest.
Okay, so I think we've officially covered the inside cover. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot on this inside cover.
This segment, by the way, is called Covering the Cover.
Oh, that's a good name for this segment.
Or maybe it's just called Cover.
Yeah. The cover. You'll be happy to know that the dedication is just for Michael, so we don't have to talk about that.
Thank God we don't have to talk about that. Sorry. I did have one other thing I wanted to say about the inside cover.
Yes, please.
I just wanted to say, of course we see, as always, Tobias's famous dirty blonde hair.
Right.
The dirtiest fucking blonde hair ever known to man.
Yeah. That is dark brown.
There's you could maybe say, there's some shades of lighter brown in there that could be blonde if you're being really generous.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had dirty blonde hair when I was like 8, and now I do not. Now I have brown hair, but my hair is still more
Yeah.
blonde than this model's.
But now you just have your hair is still dirty. It's just not blonde anymore.
Right, right.
All right. I'm ready to move on. It's
Okay.
even in the inside cover, by the way. They
Yeah,
describe it.
they do.
A dirty blonde head lying on the pillow. Is that from the book, or is that just?
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, this is a little blurb from the book.
Like like, don't they look at that and look back and go, not quite what it says it is, but just print it. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, she changed so many other things over the course of why couldn't she have just been like his hair's brown? Okay, I know it says blonde in book 1, but like it's fine. No one
No, no,
cares.
no. She wasn't wrong. It's just dirty blonde. That's all.
She was wrong about so many things. She clearly does not care about changing her mind.
On this point, there will be no budging. Uh,
All right. All right. All right.
all right.
So, okay.
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 Stay
So,
tuned for part 2 next week when we get into chapter 1.
yeah. In chapter 1, I'll start it now, but we'll split it up so the viewers don't have too much to listen to
Yes,
at once. We'll release
that's
the
right.
next part. Yeah.
That's right.
Uh,
The viewers.
yeah, so we start off, we get Tobias is doing his thing as a hawk. He's like flying around, he hunts a mouse, whatever. Uh, he flies over to the school, and he's like looking at all the other Animorphs through the windows, so we get to see like Jake and Cassie, Marco in class, whatever. He sees Rachel walking to the gym, and she has in her like binder, notebook, whatever. She has like an award. She has a Packard Foundation Outstanding Student Award, which she has not told Tobias that she has won this thing. And it says there's going to be a ceremony for her receiving it on like the following Monday, which she didn't tell him about. And he feels kind of like, oh, it's awkward because I can't come, and she doesn't want me to feel bad. Um, so, but anyway, he invites her to come out flying with him after school, and they're going around looking for entrances to, well, not looking for, Tobias has been looking for entrances to the yeerk pool, right? That's what he's been doing with his time. And so he's going to show her what he's found, which is that there's one at the car wash. But when he's trying to take her to the car wash, he gets kind of lost and like spaces out, and he ends up flying out toward the mountains. And he's all embarrassed about this, and he's like, "All right, now I'll head us back." So he starts heading her back toward the car wash, and they end up back out in the mountains again. And they're like, "What the heck is going on? Why are we out here when we weren't flying here?" And that's when they see this tree like slide over, and a hole opens in the ground, and some Hork Bajir come out.
That's a
So
lot.
this it's a lot. It's a lot, but most of what happens is just them flying around. Right? We don't really get our intro scene in this one the way we would, where they have like a little mini adventure. Like the opening
Yeah.
adventure to this is like the plot, you know?
That's true. That's true. In fact, I'm just going to say it right now at the top.
Mhm.
Kind of a closing thought, but I'm going to make it an opening
Sure.
thought. I think this book might be the best paced so far of all the books.
I
In
think that's
terms of,
reasonable.
yeah, nothing, the ending doesn't feel rushed. It doesn't feel like they don't get to the plot until 60% of the way through.
Mhm.
Like it all flows really well, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of the one thing that I was finding when I was breaking this apart, is that I very rarely had the problem that I sometimes have, where it's like, and then the plot gets interrupted with a scene where they sit at their house and have dinner, and I need to talk about it because they said a bunch of dumb stuff here, but it doesn't flow well with everything else. And I don't know if this section's going to take 2 minutes to get through or 15 minutes, and I guess it's here. Like, that didn't happen much here. Every time I broke a small chunk away for its own section, I was like, that's because it's really important.
Yeah, yeah. I think that so far, now this is based on a small sample size, but I think the Tobias books are just better written than the other books. And I kind of like that. I feel like it's in character. I think Tobias just has the soul of a poet. And he's just
Mm,
I think he's smarter than the other Animorphs and more introspective and well, he's got nothing to
yeah.
do but fly around and like think about shit all day. So
Yeah, I do think that it is generally true that Tobias books tend to be some of the better ones for their respective place in the series. Right, like there are going to be parts where the series just kind of gets like drags, but the Tobias books are always kind of a highlight of those sections.
yeah. Now speaking of Animorphs and how smart they are,
Hmm.
can you explain to me when Rachel became a genius or whatever?
Last last book when she was still getting straight A's.
Yeah, like shouldn't this be Cassie's character trait? Like she's the nerd. Why
Yeah,
is
but she was only getting B's and B pluses, and then she almost got a D that one time.
I guess it is. I mean, it's interesting that Rachel is all these. She's the supermodel and the firecracker and the genius.
Yeah. Listen, right? Yeah, no, right. I do kind of. This is an underrepresented part of Rachel's character is that she's very academically gifted, but like it doesn't. I feel like it doesn't come up in the books because it's not relevant to her fighting. It's like she's smart for like doing her tests and stuff, but like when it comes to real world things, she's too interested in just like slamming on the most reckless thing to do right now. She uses all of her intellect for sales at the mall.
Right. I kind of like it. I feel like I'm sure there's some fucking incels out there who would get mad about her being so perfect. But
She's a Mary Sue,
right, but it does.
like Ray.
I like that it's not the stereotype of like the dumb blonde. Like she loves shopping and she's really smart.
Yeah. No, I do kind of like Rachel's whole deal of just like she's just good at everything except that she is completely and totally out of control. Like she's
Yeah.
goddamn psychotic. And if she could just control herself, she'd be great. But she can't. It's like a Greek tragedy, right? You know?
Yeah, it is. It is a lot like a Greek tragedy, only I'd say better.
Yes.
Less sad. Um
Yeah.
Well, but this I did wonder, this I don't know this whole academic award ceremony thing.
Hmm.
What kind of fucking nerd? These kids are 13. Are you really inviting your friends to come see you get an award for your good grades? Like,
Yeah. I would never. I was exactly the kind of kid who would have gotten this, not necessarily for
quit
my
bragging.
grades, but for other bullshit. I would never have invited anyone I knew to this.
It's so weird to me that he's like so bummed out he can't watch her get a stupid award in like the 6th grade or whatever. Just
Yeah,
like
yeah, and she's like that. She's like that too. She's like, I feel so bad about, but I didn't want to tell him because he would feel left out, and I feel bad about leaving him out. And
feels like it should have been her birthday party or something like that. Or I don't
yeah,
know. Or
he
or
could have
even
showed
like
up to that though. They'd just do it outside, and he'd land in a
yeah.
tree or something.
Yeah, I don't know what it could be at the school, but maybe like or what if it was like she's performing in a gymnastics show or the school play or something. That
Yeah,
that feels like a thing, but yeah, whatever.
yeah. She hates being watched in gymnastics, so but like the play,
Mm,
that's a good idea.
yeah, yeah. I
Whatever. They needed to make sure you knew that she was a Packard Foundation outstanding student.
I'm glad you got that. Yeah.
Yeah.
A Hewlett Packard Foundation.
Yeah.
I did like that in
Same
contrast to
guys.
the last book. It does seem like this bird does want to get fucked by Rachel.
Yes, yes. There's not that much still romance going on, though you can tell that Rachel cares about Tobias. But yes, he does obviously want to get fucked.
It's still much subtler than Jake and Cassie, but I think that is because Rachel and Tobias are just so bad at being in touch with their feelings.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, there may also be some level of like, it feels weird making goo goo eyes at a hawk. But yeah, they are both very bad at being in touch with their feelings. They're not good.
Yeah, both could be true. I did have another a post theory for the last book too. Is that I thought maybe she avoided the romance because so much of that book was about Rachel being horny for Jeremy Jason McCall that maybe it would have she didn't want readers to feel guilty like she was being unfaithful to Tobias or something.
Yeah. Well, we just needed to see her little sketchbook where she was drawing Jeremy Jason McCall as a bird.
Right.
You got this hidden away under her bed. Jordan finds that she thinks she's gonna find some like lewd artwork, but it's just pictures of a bird guy, Harvey Birdman.
It's a magazine cutout, and she like taped in some hawk wings to him, with little hearts drawn around and colored pencils, and that S everyone drew.
Oh no, my sister's a weirdo. It's worse than I thought.
Yeah. Well, anything else about them flying around?
There's a bit of trivia here. This is the last. I think this is the last thing. No, I think there's one more thing. I pulled a couple things from Seropedia for this book.
Mm-hmm.
So Seropedia says Tobias mentions two controllers that they are aware of: a policewoman and a reporter. And when he was talking about he's been following known controllers to find these entrances to the yeerk pool. He's been following a policewoman and a reporter. Seropedia says, these are the two controllers who Cassie overheard speaking with Chapman in Megamorphs 1, The Andalite's Gift.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So glad we read that.
It's exciting. Yeah, now we know.
Now we know.
I'm also... I was also wondering, because the other thing that comes up here is he talks about thermal hopping, where he rides on one thermal to another. And I have to wonder, is this a real term for things that birds do or something? Or like paragliders do? Or did Tobias just make up his own flying term? We go thermal hopping. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, canonically, it makes more sense that he made it up.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know that he's just waits by the library hoping someone will take out a book about birds so he can read it over their shoulder. But it's possible that Kay Applegate looked up a real term for educational purposes. I don't know. One I'm not going to Google, so.
Yeah, nor I. I'm not going to Google anything unless I do it before the show.
Yeah, that's for the listeners to handle for us.
Yeah, they'll tell us. Now that we're getting emails.
Right, now that the letters are pouring in.
Can't even keep up with them. Did you have anything else to say about the flying here?
I mean, I guess it sort of comes into the next scene, but I'll just say that I was confused about Tobias getting lost, and my first theory was that there was some kind of yeerk technology that was sending out a signal that was maybe screwing with his Hawkdar. My other theory actually was that they were doing a reverse Valik where where the Valik was attracted to morphing energy. I had thought maybe the yeerk set up a trap that lures in animorphs. They can detect morphers, and it makes them always come back here like ants or something.
Ooh, that's interesting, because that's much more sci-fi. Because the first thing you described, I was thinking like how some animals can determine magnetic north or something in order to migrate. Oh yeah, maybe they have a strong magnetic field because of their crazy yeerk tech. But yeah, I like the second thing you did, because then she can make up some crazy bullshit stuff that doesn't make sense and give it a weird name.
Yeah, no, that would be a good book. That would be a good one. I'll write that fanfic if that doesn't happen later.
There's a couple of good fanfics in this book.
Okay, we'll get to them.
Well, so out of the hole there come two Hork Bajir.
Time for scene 2, everyone. Go on.
Yeah, we're only... Oh my god. Just check the time.
Go ahead.
There wasn't even an intro to this one. We just get right into the action. We're still all right. So there's two Hork Bajir. They're coming out of the hole, and they look scared. And alarms start going off, and the Hork Bajir take off running. And a whole bunch of human controllers with machine guns and dirt bikes all come out and take off after them. Um, and Tobias and Rachel decide they're gonna help these Hork Bajir. So Tobias is talking to them, and with thought speech, he's talking directly to them and trying to guide them to safety. Um, and he's trying to guide them, but the instructions are like too complicated because it turns out Hork Bajir are kind of dumb. So he's like, all right, time to play follow the big birdie, and he flies low under the tree line. So we get this crazy chase scene where he's like dodging in between trees and trying to lead the Hork Bajir while the motorcycle guys with guns are trying to cut him off. Um, so and then there's a point where Rachel and Tobias have to like veer off and like claw some guy's eyes out. Big action sequence, right? And they're trying to lead these Hork Bajir to a stream so they can swim to safety. Um, they get cut off. One of the Hork Bajir manages to jump over, the trucks and get into the stream. The other Hork Bajir is hit by a truck and falls into a ditch, and they can't get this one away. And we find out that this one is the first Hork Bajir's Kalashi, or wife. And he doesn't want to leave his Kalashi, but they convince him, you gotta go or else you're gonna get captured. So they get the one Hork Bajir out of there and they hide him in a cave.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now this is a crazy thing that's happening.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big leap, for Tobias and Rachel to say, hey, these things that up until this point, we know they have yeerks in them, but up until this point, they have done nothing but try to murder us every time we see them.
Mm-hmm.
They could have very easily just been like, fuck these guys. What do we care? But I guess they do the right thing, Spike Lee style, and they go in there. So that's good. Now, I had another theory. Again, we don't really know what's going on here.
Yeah.
My theory at the start of this, which I also liked, but isn't true, is that the yeerks were releasing the two Hork Bajir on purpose, like just for fun, for their form of fox hunting, kind of. And they just, as a sport, they just let them run free and then hunt them down because they're cruel and bored. But
that does sound like something they do. We see examples of them doing things like tying dissenters up and then, or like, oh, we can't infest this species, so we're going to tie them up and use them for target practice. But I don't think, that was not quite what they're doing here. It'd be a little too risky.
I was going to say, what they wouldn't, they're in need of hosts. They wouldn't waste them. But Visser 3 kills a host 6 times a day, so.
Right. Yeah, if a sub Visser did it, Visser 3 is going to have his head. But, this is, Visser 3 is out there hunting, so it's fine. I think there is a point where, in the series, where they say, like, every Visser commits 100 death penalty level offenses every single day in the course of doing their job, and the Council of 13 just doesn't give a shit unless they decide they don't like you, in which case you're going to go to trial for all of them.
Yeah, that sounds right. I forgot about the Council of 13. This scene kind of reminds me of speeder bike chases.
Yeah,
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, Tobias explicitly says flying through the woods it was like a video game, quote unquote.
Which has been, I feel like in the first few books, there were a lot of those comparisons to things being like a video game. And we haven't had one in a while, so that was nice.
Yeah. You know what else is like a video game here? The motorcycle guys coming at them. They got one driver and one guy on the back with a gun. That remind you of any games?
One driver...
Mario Kart, maybe?
Yeah, like Double Dash.
Yeah. They got the item on the back, only he's shooting a gun instead of shells or something.
Yeah. That does remind me of that. Ooh, an Animorphs kart racer. Ooh, and like each one you can morph into an animal as your special ability to race faster.
I think we've already tapped that with like gorilla driving tiger.
Gorilla driving tiger.
Remember Marco was a gorilla and he was driving the car with Jake as the tiger in the back seat?
Oh, like Saints Row, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
I think I don't know that you're gonna do better than that for your driving video game.
well, it'll all be in there. You'll have a lot of different options.
Okay, okay.
Now 2 questions.
Yes.
Two quick questions. Number one, what do you think it'd be like if this just occurred? This doesn't really have anything to do with anything except that Rachel was in this scene, and she usually morphs into a bear, and she does. Does she morph into a bear in this scene?
Not in this scene, but she will in this book.
Okay, well, I just wondered, what would it be like if Rachel morphed into Cocaine Bear?
Whoa. Whoa. I mean, Rachel's already progressive enough.
The answer is it wouldn't be any different.
Yeah, she would morph into, but her bear wouldn't have gotten into the cocaine, but it wouldn't matter, right?
For anyone listening to this 50 years from now, Cocaine Bear was a movie. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, Bear did cocaine.
Society has
That's
fallen.
all you need to know.
And it's probably lost. Maybe all movies, no movies exist anymore except Cocaine Bear. In either case, you'll figure it out. My other question was, do you think if a Hork Bajir was, let's say, from Kazakhstan?
Makalashi.
Yeah, do you think they would say that? Sounds like you do. I think they would say that.
I do think they would say that.
Okay. Cool. That's all I had to say about this.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, this is my last excerpt from Seropedia that I felt the need to throw in here.
Okay.
It says, Tobias asks the Hork Bajir if he can swim, which he confirms. However, in the message, Axe tells the Animorphs that Hork Bajir cannot swim. I don't know if you remember that when they were dolphins in the message, and the Taxons could swim after them, but the Hork Bajir couldn't. Or at least Axe said they couldn't, and they didn't. Axe also stated in The Alien that Hork Bajir were biological hardwired to fight amongst themselves every 62 years, a fact which was proven to be false, thereby making Axe's claims on Hork Bajir physiology dubious. That little editorial is on the wiki.
Well, we know he's a bad student, so...
Yeah, we do know he's a bad student, and he might be a little bit racist about Hork Bajir.
Oh, I mean, for sure. Well, what would stop a Hork Bajir from being able to swim? It's not like genetically they have arms and legs, like...
Yeah, I mean, well, if they were too dense, maybe, then they wouldn't float.
Maybe. If anything, it seems like Taxons shouldn't be able to swim.
Taxons are like super mobile. They can get around all over the place.
Yeah, but I feel like they're all mushy. I feel like they might just dissolve in water. They're like made of cotton candy or something.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they can swim, but like, a tuna could probably kill one.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, that's most of what I had to say about that, and I'm done with my Seropedia excerpts.
Cool. I have one more for later.
Okay, good. Yeah, I didn't want to be done yet. So they got the one Hork Bajir in a cave, and the other one they lost. They don't know what happened to her. So we have our little barn scene. Because all the Animorphs, they meet up at Cassie's barn and they discuss what to do. They have what may well be the only free Hork Bajir in the whole world, because it seems like this Hork Bajir is free from the yeerks.
In the whole universe.
In the whole universe. Could well be.
Could well be.
So they all decide, basically, what are we going to do about this? Well, why don't we go back and ask the Hork Bajir what he wants to do? And there's also some wondering about why was Tobias somewhere he didn't want to be. So this is just, our like transitional thing into the plot, bringing the rest of the members in. Not a lot happens here other than just standard barn stuff. I don't know if there are any character moments we want to talk about though here.
Well, I mean, I think that's this in the barn when
Uh-huh.
Marco has some pretty good.
He does. And last time I said we should do Marco jokes at the end maybe, but I feel like he mostly only like he makes some jokes here and everywhere else he just makes a couple of like quips that don't make sense out of context, so maybe that was just a bad idea I had.
Well, the idea was your favorite Marco joke. Sometimes there's not time for
Yeah.
them, but I feel like it's like the only thing that is relevant in this scene.
Yeah, basically, other than some Tobias Bird stuff. But
yeah, well, I'll say the other relevant thing I thought was someone mentions Stephen Hawking, and Cassie asks who that is. So I was wondering, was Stephen Hawking not famous at this point?
when did A
Or
Brief History of Time come out? I want to say it was like late 80s,
I feel
early
like
90s, so he should have been.
yeah, I definitely read A Brief History of Time like a few years before this came out. So yeah, it was definitely around.
uh,
But yeah, I thought that was weird that Cassidy goes who, like maybe that was just for kids at that time who maybe wouldn't
yeah.
know, but
Yeah, it gives because Axe gets to explain that he's all like, "Oh, he's very brilliant, but he's wrong about some pretty significant things," and he tries to explain what Stephen Hawking is wrong about before Jake cuts him off.
which is funny. But I feel like
Yeah,
at least now Stephen Hawking is Einstein level. Even if you don't know who he is, he's just shorthand for a smart guy.
yeah, yeah. People know he's the smart guy,
Yeah, or a robot guy.
right? He's the smart guy who has what I don't even remember what condition he has, but he can't move. Those are the two things people know.
He was too
Black
smart
holes.
to move. When
I
you
feel
reach a
like
certain level of intellect, the rest of you have to give something away to be that smart.
I feel like that has literally become a trope where it's like we have to like make our smart character, you know what I mean? Like making them somehow disabled makes them feel smarter because it makes them feel like Stephen Hawking.
Right.
I feel like that's happened in popular culture because it's like how crazy hair used to mean with like Doc and Marty, right?
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Back with Einstein, they gave the guy crazy hair because then he seems smarter.
Yeah. Einstein was the name of Doc's dog.
Oh yeah.
So it all comes together. We go full circle on this show.
Full circle.
Oh,
Yeah,
by the
Tobias
I,
doesn't. Yeah, yeah.
so-
Yeah. Say it.
sorry. Before we move on, I just had to say Stephen Hawking.
Oh, yeah.
Stephen Red-tailed Hawking.
Hell yeah.
That's the next
Hell yeah.
morph tweet.
That's pretty good. Yeah, we're gonna do that one. Yeah, we got some bird stuff in here on that note. Tobias doesn't like crows and jays because they mob him and bully him out of kills. He says they mob and bully, quote, peaceful raptors like me, unquote. He also says he has an agreement with Cassie. I don't eat her patients.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, that's basically, other than the Marco jokes, that's basically about it.
Yeah, and they're like the gangsters of the bird world, by the way. Crows, ravens, and jays. All three
Yeah.
of them are the gangsters of the bird world.
Yeah. I think, I wonder if Tobias would be racist against Italians if he were a human.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna use that Sopranos, it's anti-Italian discrimination meme, but like with a blue jay or something.
Oh, these fucking ravens over here.
Yeah, that was good. You did a good job.
Thank you.
I guess we can move on because now they can go talk to this Hork Bajir and see what he wants to do. So they go back to the cave. Everybody's sort of Tobias and Axe go up to talk to this Hork Bajir. Everybody else is like either flying cover or in battle morphs ready, just in case he's gonna make trouble. Hork Bajir comes out of the cave and he tells them his name is Jerahami. Which Jake immediately is like, wait, did he say his name is Jeremy? Haha. But so there's a lot of tension between Axe and Jera because Jera's like, oh, Andalite kill Hork Bajir. Hork Bajir kill Andalite. And Jarrah kind of talks like the Hulk, or maybe like a racist depiction of a foreigner. Like Hork Bajir a little bit too stupid to use all the words, uh, in a sentence. Um, asks him how we know he's not being controlled by a yeerk, or has his own head, as Jarrah says. And Jeremy cuts open his own head and shows them his brain. And everyone is like, what the fuck? But I guess there's no yeerk in there, which leads me to my earlier question. What would it look like if there was a yeerk in there?
Huh. Yeah.
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 So they talk to Jeremy here. And what Jeremy wants to do basically here. Oh, why don't I have that written down? What Jeremy says he wants to do is he wants to go rescue his Kalashi. That's what he wants.
Yeah. Don't we all?
Yeah.
I just want to say this.
Uh-huh.
Jarrah Hamee Jason McCall.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Now that has been said.
Good job.
I did, as you said, I did kind of wonder, is this book racist against Hork Bajir?
No, Hork Bajir are just like this.
They seem, yeah, I mean, it's definitely, if these were humans, it wouldn't be a good look, but...
It's true. And you could definitely make some arguments about Hork Bajir falling into some kind of, like, noble savage trope. It's hard for me to because I personally love them so much. But I think there's something there.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I am 4% Cherokee, so I'm qualified to say I think it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're about as Cherokee as Elizabeth Warren, so.
Yeah, exactly. So
that was topical 8 years ago.
Yeah. I like dating our podcast. I think it's funny. I'm going to just talk about very specific current events. Now, this whole scene, I was a little confused about languages and what languages everyone speaks, and Hork Bajir speak English and understand English because yeerks made them learn English, or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember where this detail is in the book, but they say, like, in the original Hork Bajir language, there are only about 500 words. Although Axe says this, so he might just be being racist. He says there's only like 500 words in Hork Bajir language proper. Usually, in order to supplement this, Hork Bajir will speak a mixture of the Hork Bajir language and Gallard, which is Galactic Trade Standard. Okay. I don't think they say Gallard in this book, but I did go discover what that was, so I wasn't just saying standard all the time. But I presumably because they're working on Earth, they taught them some English, so they mostly speak a mix of Hork Bajir and English on Earth, so they can talk to the human controllers.
Okay, sure. Makes sense, I guess.
So that's what's going on there.
One of those 500 words we learn is Hruthen.
Yeah.
Which means Andalite.
Yeah. I have to wonder if this is some kind of, like, Hork Bajir don't pronounce things well, so they heard Andalite in their head, and they went, oh, Hruthen, the same way that, like, English people are bad at talking, so they called Nippon Japan.
Yeah,
something
maybe.
Like this.
Well, I feel like the 500 words thing has to be an exaggeration, because if we're counting stuff like just the names of other species, and how can there be 500? There's got to be more than that.
Yeah, no, like 100%. Maybe he means like 500 words that are like analogs to words we have. You know, their words for their animals don't count or something because we don't have them.
500 Hork Bajir words Hork Bajir can say. 500 Hork Bajir words that Hork Bajir know. 500 Hork Bajir words that Hork Bajir can say.
Yeah.
How many words can a Hork Bajir say?
How about 500?
Okay, can we clear something up right now
Yeah.
that I've just been kind of fudging the line every time we say it, and I haven't really been brave enough to ask?
Uh-huh.
How are you actually supposed to say the J? Do you say a soft or a hard J
I
in
have
Hork Bajir?
always said it soft, and I don't know why, but like ever since I was a child, it seemed obvious to me that you should say Hork Bajir. But I don't know why I always thought that. I don't know why I've always done that.
It could, I mean, for all I know, it's like Hork Bajir or something.
Hork Badger.
I mean, well, maybe hopefully in the TV show we'll maybe see what
Yeah.
they say,
When
but
we get to the TV show, we'll find out.
yeah, it seems I agree, kind of agree with you. Hork Bajir seems right, but I sort of sometimes I kind of will say Hork Bajir or like not totally like somewhere in the middle, like a Hork Bajir, like kind of a, a hard soft.
This is the beautiful thing about books is we can all make up our own way to say it. This isn't like Tolkien where he's got a pronunciation guide at the end.
Yeah, yeah. Also, Jeremy calls Axe a dark hap.
Oh
Or
no, no, no. He says you dark app, you fail.
so dark hap means fail.
I guess?
I thought maybe it could mean like a failure, and he's like just not using grammar, and he's saying you are a dark hap, you
Yeah.
fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Or,
know.
or it could be like you piece of shit.
Yeah, I think it's something along those lines. We also didn't. I mean, we probably should spend more time talking about him cutting his own brain open.
Yeah, it was a little fucked up. I don't know. I thought this was going to take a long time to talk about, mostly because of all these Hork-Bajir words that I wanted to make sure we mention all of them.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot. It's
Yeah,
important.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it's a really weird, fucked up thing that, like, if this wasn't a book, that's an R-rated movie right there. You know,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's you can get away with so much when it's just words.
yeah. Like they describe his brain being exposed and like the mix of like greenish blue and red blood oozing out of his. It's really gross.
Yeah, it renders Axe and Tobias peeless.
Yes. Yeah, Tobias asks, "Did that scare the pee out of you too, Axeman, or do Andalites not care about that stuff?" And Axe replies, "I am as peeless as you, Tobias, my friend."
Pretty funny.
Yeah, pretty good. I like it.
Axe. I like that his nickname for him is Axeman.
Hmm.
Axeman. I mean, maybe not the
Axeman.
most creative nickname, but it also is.
Whatever.
It's actually a nickname for a nickname. But he's actually made his nickname longer. But
Yeah. Well, it's an yeah. He likes him. It's
yeah,
good.
it's he has affection. It's nice.
Yeah. So this whole thing with the Kalashi, um, this really makes me wonder, uh, like how did they get into this relationship with like yeerks in their head their whole lives? Like, I think it says later in this book that when they were small children, they were still free on the Hork Bajir world. So they could have been like the last holdouts of the rebel Hork Bajir and they were like childhood sweethearts or something like that.
Oh, I see.
Or or did they develop their relationship maybe like based solely on their time spent in cages together while they were free during the Kandrona feeding? Like either way, I like it as this like, star-crossed lovers. This is what I would write a fan fiction about, is these Hork-Bajir trying to maintain their relationship over years, and the only point of contact they get is like a couple hours every 3 days.
Yeah, are we to understand that Hork Bajir are infested with Yeerks as soon as they're born?
Um,
Or how does
you
that?
know, they say that all the Hork-Bajir are enslaved, and that there aren't like Hork-Bajir aren't born free anymore. So probably yeah. And I mean, if you do it early, then they don't get a sense of what freedom is. So
But like, who's Whose fucking job as a yeerk is you got to spend 6 years in a fucking baby?
It's
Like,
better than being not in any host. It's
yeah, I
probably better
guess.
than being in a Ged, honestly.
And then does some other yeerk have to like nurse this Hork Bajir baby?
I mean, here's the real question: do the Yeerks infest the Hork Bajir while they fuck? Do they like harvest the semen and then like do impregnation, like
I mean, that's
like the
still
Chinese male milking farms that Jordan Peterson got mad about on Twitter?
already don't know that reference. That's still less
You're
weird
better off.
than the Yeerks having to play house with each other and like take care of the babies. That's actually just another adult. Like, hey, dude, how was work today? Ah, fuck. I guess you gotta feed me. Oh, can you change my diaper? Like, I don't know how the fuck your Hork
Yeah.
Bajir work, but
Yeah. And meanwhile, I'm you go how. Meanwhile, how was your day? Well, I got to fuck.
yeah, there's a lot of weird. I really thought about that before. I guess kind of it makes more sense if the Yeerks, only enslaved the Hork Bajir like a few years ago maybe, and so they primarily just are in adult Hork Bajir, but
I'll just tell you the time scale. The Hork Bajir homeworld fell in the 60s.
oh, so yeah, fucking long time. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Like these, like Jeremy and Ket Halpek would have been if they were free when they were kids. Or I named the other one, Jeremy and his Kalashi. If they were free when they were kids, they would have been in like the last rebel holdouts, right? As the Yeerks were like, the world has basically fallen, and we're just trying to grab these last bits.
Yeah, so that is weird because I definitely reading this got the impression that it reads like they were fully grown adults and were like married and had a lasting relationship and then were taken over by Yeerks.
Yeah, it's possible. We do know that they were. We do know that they were kids who were free. Like it is, and it does like it would make sense that they were in these like rebel bits on the planet. It's maybe there are a couple of free Hork Bajir holdouts, right? Maybe there's like one or two like little areas with like a dozen free Hork Bajir who are just underground or something, like some dystopian future.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe
I
even to
guess.
this day.
I don't know.
But
It kind of feels like she just didn't know, or she just didn't want you to think about the
yeah,
fact that that doesn't really make sense.
well, but unfortunately for her, that's all I thought about this whole book.
Whoops.
I just think it's super romantic how they had to figure out how to keep their relationship going,
Yeah, they were
or create one from scratch while
yes,
infested.
stealing glances at each other through Yeerk eyes.
Yeah, yeah. They do the thing where if you exert all my willpower, then like once a week when the Yerk's not noticing, I can twitch my eyeball, so I make it go make eye contact with Jera. Hee.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a whole chapter of my fan fiction.
That works. I'm excited
All
to
right.
read it.
Okay, are we?
All right, we're ready.
Yeah. All right. Cassie and Rachel, who are watching out for trouble while this whole interaction is happening, they spot a lot of bad guys just scouring the woods, including a ton of Hork Bajir, even though it's broad daylight. Right, before we'd only seen humans, the Yeerks don't want to bring Hork Bajir and Taxons out when anybody could see them, but they're bringing them out. There's Hork Bajir out in the woods in broad daylight, and they decide, okay, well, we can get Rachel to morph Jera, and she can be bait and draw them all off, and then he can stay safe in his cave. So they make him turn around and close his eyes so Rachel can acquire him. Without finding out she's a human. And of course, they have to ask him permission first because Cassie's there, The bad guys show up, and Tobias goes to like hitch a ride on Rachel's horns, and they're starting to run while the others start fighting the Yeerks. But then Tobias slips off Rachel's horns, and he goes flying. He goes flying a full quarter mile of away, It's more like he teleports a full quarter mile away, way up above the treetops, and he sees a bunch of human controllers aiming guns at a Hork Bajir. It's too far away from the action to be Jera or Rachel. This must be the other Hork Bajir, the Kalashi. One of the humans there morphs into Visser 3 and reveals by bragging like a supervillain that this is Ket Halpak, who this is Jera's Kalashi, Ket Halpak. And he's like, haha, you silly Ket Halpak, you thought you could escape us and be free, but now I've got you. So Tobias is like, okay, I can't attack Visser 3 alone, I'm going to need a distraction. But he knows a Swainson's hawk in the area.
I
So he
love their
calls out,
dinners.
yeah, he makes a hawk call, like, Seer! Or whatever, like he's going to attack the
Sure.
Swainson's hawk territory, and then he dives in at Visser 3, and fortunately the Swainson's hawk comes out, and Visser 3 is like, aha, that bird's an Andalite, and everybody's focused on the real bird, and then Tobias hits Visser 3 in the eyeballs, and then that's enough time for Ket Halpak to get away. And then I guess at this point they get her back to the cave, and Rachel gets away, and the Animorphs win, but we don't see any more action after this, right? Tobias gets Visser 3 in the eyes, and Ket Halpak runs away, and then we sort of cut to, and that's resolved. We did it.
We did it, folks. We did it.
Yeah, big action scene, lots of chasing, fighting, crazy stuff happening. The Tobias fighting Visser 3. Long and short of it is they kept Jera safe, and they also got Ket safe.
You didn't even get into the show of dominance ritual or whatever.
Oh yeah, no, I skipped it. Yeah, there's the show of dominance ritual when Rachel morphs Jera too.
Yeah, the two Hork Bajir start like fucking with each other. To which Tobias goes, "Hey, everybody, calm down. I'm a bird, so I know about bird stuff, and this is like nature. It's like they're just showing dominance, so just let them get it out of their systems." And I'm like,
Yeah,
you don't. They're fucking aliens. What the fuck? You have
yeah,
no idea what the fuck's happening.
yeah. No, they're like bellowing at each other and like rearing up and like kind of slashing at the air in front of them. It's like Hork Bajir breakdancing. That's what they're doing.
Except that like they could easily fucking murder each other,
Yeah.
but it's fine.
This doesn't come up again, like ever, including in the Hork Bajir Chronicles. So this isn't exactly out of character with Hork Bajir, but it doesn't. I feel like this was another thing where she wasn't sure what she was doing
Yeah, I've said
when
it
she wrote
before,
it.
but such a Klingon thing. I feel like Hork Bajir at least like they get more differentiated and developed the more we learn about them, but it feels like early on there's a lot of Klingon stuff to them.
Hmm.
Um, you
Yeah,
know,
that could be a transit. Like that's not wrong to think they start off as Klingons and then they end up as these total sweethearts. And she's got this transitional period where she's trying to figure out how much Klingon stuff she wants to keep.
yeah. I mean, especially when we know it's no longer true, but when they have war every 63 years or whatever, like
Yeah, yeah.
that kind of shit. Now you mentioned, so they're gonna morph Jerahami, and of course Cassie goes, hold on, I don't know if this is morally correct to do.
Yep, that's how she speaks.
Jerahami is a sentient being.
Hmm.
And I like
Right.
immediately Jake goes, you fucking morphed into Rachel, you fucking hypocrite.
Yeah,
So,
Cassie's a hypocrite. That's
shut
her
the
character.
fuck up.
That doesn't mean she doesn't stop trying.
I was just, eye roll, whatever, Cassie. Shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, she's doing her best.
Listen,
They didn't,
I love
but
you,
we don't really
Cassie.
get it. Like, it's just, they're just like, so Jerry, is it cool? And Jerry's
Yeah.
like, Jerry and me hate yerks.
It's
like,
it's
okay, sure.
immediately hand waved
Yeah.
away. It's such a
Yeah.
brief thing, which I appreciated. If this was a Cassie book, she would then think about it for 8 chapters. But also,
That's what I like about Cassie books.
speaking of character traits, I gotta point out this is now Tobias once again is worried about Rachel morphing a Hork Bajir and her being in danger. He is now the third character who has had an arc about worrying about putting others in danger and not himself.
It's funny too because like if anyone deserves that arc, it's Tobias because he's the guy who can never actually do any of the action.
Yeah,
You know, he's
yeah.
the guy who has to fly around while everybody else risks their lives.
But now since he's the third one now, it feels kind of been there, done that.
That's
um,
fair.
I mean, it's not really like his focus in this book, but I just thought it was funny that that seems to be such a recurring theme in these.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
yeah. Oh no, I do like there's like a scene in here. I like how the Yeerks are actually fairly competent in their chases here. Like Visser 3 is being stupid in the Ket Halpak thing. But like there's a bit where they're starting to fight some of the controllers and they start running away and Rachel's like, haha, I'm a Hork Bajir, I can chase him down and fight him. And Cassie running cover up top is like, Rachel, they're running back toward reinforcements, they're actively luring you in, you need to disengage. Like they have tactics. It's good.
Yeah. No, they're pretty good at this stuff at this
Yeah.
point.
Anytime the Yeerks are competent, I'm happy.
Yeah. I think both sides like are doing are holding their own.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah.
I have a bunch of more notes, but I don't really remember if they are part of this scene or the next, but you say what you want to say.
Oh no, I was just going to talk about this bird, this Swainson's hawk.
Sure.
Because once again, I have to ask, how does he know what a Swain? Does he ask Cassie these names? Because
Right.
like, if he was making these names up, I was thinking they'd probably all be like fat dumb fucker bird or assholes falcon or something like that. Like he wouldn't call it a Swainson's hawk.
It does seem like when he became a hawk, like hawks have just an innate knowledge of the human names of birds.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is a bit
I mean,
weird.
and from this bird actually survives somehow, even though all the Hork Bajir are like shooting at it. I gotta say, this bird probably it's like a reverse Tobias situation. He probably thinks red-tailed hawks are all assholes now. Like this fucking red tail comes in, he like calls me out to fight, and immediately a million things start to what a piece of shit.
I think
Fuck
that
red tails.
Swainson's hawk is dead, right? I mean, don't
No,
they
it
kill
says
it?
he made it.
Oh, it
Tobias says he
does?
got away, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, he's gonna have to. That's gonna be the next Tobias book, the confrontation with that guy. Looking forward to that.
I do like that Tobias can have those, so everybody else will be like, oh, I had a weird thing happen at school today, and then Tobias's chapters are like, oh, this rival bird from the neighboring meadow came in and bullied me, and I had to fight it.
It's pretty great. He really has his own thing going on. I did. It was around this part of the book when I started to question why the cover of this book wasn't Rachel morphing into a Hork Bajir. I mean, logistically, we just had a Rachel book, but it feels like, it just didn't like up to this point, Tobias hasn't really done any cool stuff.
Yeah, but it's a Tobias book, so he's
And a
got to
Hork
be
Bajir.
on the cover.
Is there any book where they have a Hork Bajir morph on the cover?
There is, so it's
Okay.
not a total loss the way it was with the skunk.
Okay, so that's good to know. Also, just I know that it's a thing we've known about in every book, but in this one, because it's part of the plot, I really just couldn't stop thinking about every time they slice up or scratch out the eyes of a Hork Bajir, just the fact that there's an innocent Hork Bajir in there feeling that pain.
Yeah, no, as you get to know these Hork Bajir, it's like, how can you still be, like, you're going out of your way not to kill the human controllers, even when it would be easier. How can you not be doing this with the Hork Bajir now?
They really, they just go at him. I mean, it's...
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess they're not as fragile as a human, but still, they fuck them up a lot.
Yeah. They do talk about how they heal fast, like, Jarrah's head is, like, healing from his own self-inflicted wound very quickly, but... Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, do the
poor
Yeerks have
Hork Bajir.
Bacta tanks or something?
They should.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I have another question, but I think I can save it for later.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So whatever. They're everything's good, right? So they got Ket and Jera saved. Oh, and Ket Halpak says, "We Falana, we thank you."
Yeah.
So we know Falana now.
Yeah, that's good.
That's
We
just
Falana.
yeah. Don't want to move past we Falana. Uh, So they're trying to figure out what to do with these Hork Bajir. They need some kind of like protected place to keep them. And Tobias knows about a place. It's a hidden valley way up in the mountains, and it's like super nice, trees, lakes, and it's really hard to find and everything. So he tells them all about it. Except he doesn't know about this place. He now knows that it exists, and he can visualize it, and he knows it as though he's been there, but he's never been there before, and he only just now suddenly knew about it. Like it just popped into his head as fully formed knowledge. Um, so still all this weird shit's happening around Tobias here. Um,
Yeah.
so whatever, they've got the plan. They're going to try to get the Hork Bajir to this valley. Axe and Tobias are keeping watch that night. Axe has overheard, or Tobias actually overheard the Hork Bajir talking about Kawat Naj.
Uh-huh.
But Axe doesn't know what Kawat Naj is. And while they're standing there, all of a sudden Tobias knows something else that he can't possibly know. More knowledge just pops into his head, which is that taxons are hunting them right now as they speak. There's taxons in the woods, and they can smell for miles like bloodhounds. So they gotta move now. So yeah, Axe goes off to get Jake, and Tobias starts leading the Hork Bajir to safety through the dark. So, introduce some ideas here, but basically just a whole bunch of more what is going on with Tobias here.
Yeah, this is the third, at least the third instance in these books in which one of the characters has received some sort of psychic premonition or vision that they don't understand.
Yeah.
Right? We had Cassie and Tobias in when Axe was sending them signals. We had Jake getting monkey flashes, and now this. So
Yeah.
that's another motif there.
Jake in his tower with his eye of Sauron.
Sure. Yeah, when did that happen? Was
At
that the
end of
stranger?
the capture, I believe.
Oh, why did he?
Yeah, when he was done being infested by the yeerk as the yeerk died, he gets that vision.
Oh, it was like from seeing the yeerk's memories and stuff.
Yeah, at the very end of the yeerk's memories, he sees the eye of Sauron.
Right. The yeerk just had access to. It was just a big Lord of the Rings fan.
I mean, maybe the yeerk was infesting Sauron. Who knows, right?
Oh,
Maybe that was also a memory.
yeah, that could be. Now, okay, but before there is one thing that's sort of in between there, or at the very beginning of this section that I felt the need to point out because
Yeah.
it directly addresses something we talked about in the last book, which was when they, or no, the book before that, sorry, the Jake Monkey book, which was when they are going to take the spaceship, or it happened, maybe we talked about it last book too, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Everyone, it doesn't fucking matter. Just relax. When they want to take the spaceship to the White House, and then
Right.
we were talking about how why don't they just put Axe on TV,
Right.
and everything like that, and they actually float that idea in this book.
Yeah.
And Axe says that it's not a good idea because just everyone will just think it's fake and no one will believe it anyway.
Yeah.
So, but nobody said that when they decided they wanted to bring the spaceship to the White House.
Yeah,
But-
it's hard to call. It's hard to call. The White House thing is more like it's more of a giant thing and not like a local news alien walks down the street. And I think Cassie also brings up if we bring him to a reputable newspaper, we don't know which reputable newspapers have, whatever.
Controllers.
Yeah, we have controllers in charge of them.
That I think is the more important
Yeah.
point to me. Like that makes
Yeah.
sense. And because if there's only 5 of them or 6 of them, like if they make a mistake and they make the
Yeah.
wrong decision, they're fucked. So
Yeah. And I mean, at least if they land on the White House lawn, everybody's coming out, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to be like we brought the one alien we got to one guy and said, "Run this story."
Yeah, but at least I like that they did actually address it.
Yeah,
that was cool.
yeah. And if they're not consistent on their decisions between these things, especially since the alien spaceship thing was made as a spur of the moment decision, is like we got to do it right now. Let's try this.
Yeah,
So
right. That's true. They
yeah,
didn't exactly they didn't have that plan in advance. Surprise, surprise.
yeah, yeah, yeah. This is the part where Axe says about the 500 words.
Mm-hmm.
They
500.
Axe is like pretty upset in here that the Hork Bajir don't like Andalites because like after the Andalites maybe they didn't manage to save him, but they tried to save him, right? They were on the Hork Bajir homeworld fighting, right?
Yeah, come
And
on.
Axe
They
is like super
tried.
haughty.
They
Yeah,
tried after it's their fault that this happened in the first place. Cut them some slack.
yeah. No, and he's like very haughty about it. He's like, "Oh yeah, we are the greatest, and we'll kill all the Yeerks. The Yeerks should hate us, and whatever."
Yeah.
I wonder how brainwashed Andalite school is. Like, do you think that they're actively just like, oh yeah, Hork-Bajir are dumb as rocks. Everybody's dumb as rocks. We need to learn in alien biology class about how dumb every species that isn't Andalites are. Oh, also make sure you say the Pledge of Allegiance 50 times.
I was just about to do an Indolite version of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the Andalites. That's all I got.
The electorate, maybe.
Not the Council of 13, that's for sure.
Right? Yeah. No, they. And I like. Well, I don't like the Council of 13,
That's right.
and I like Morphin, baby.
Okay. Now they're trying to find. Tobias has this great idea, this vision for a safe place for these Hork Bajir, which is some magical, isolated valley or whatever somewhere in
Yeah.
the forest.
It's like the peaceful valley from The Land Before Time, or whatever it's called.
Sure. I've got a pitch. Here's my idea for a safe place for the Hork Bajir. Just
Uh huh.
thought I'd throw it
Yeah.
out there.
Right.
How about with the fucking Chi?
Yeah.
The Chi that have their own underground paradise where no
Yeah.
one can ever find them, and they've been living there for decades.
And they've got advanced tech. They could go to the Chi right now and be like, can you bring these Hork Bajir out to the middle of the jungle in South America where we used to be? And they could just live there.
Sure. I mean, you know, these Chi definitely have invisibility cloaks and shit. You got have
She could probably pop a Hork Bajir on his back and run to South America.
It would be but it feels like a home run to give them a place to live around other people, and they could like coexist. And
Yeah.
I don't know. This other plan is they live by themselves. Like, it seems pretty boring.
Maybe dogs don't like Hork Bajir.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, oh, we can't keep them here.
They'd be barking at them all the time,
Yeah.
trying to gnaw on their talons or
It
something.
upsets my poodles.
Anyway, that was just a thought.
It's a good thought. It is one of the issues when you introduce something like the Chi. You start asking, why don't they just... It's like time travel, only they can't control their time travel in this series, so you don't ask that question. But you do gotta ask, what about the Chi?
What about the Chi? Yeah, you gotta ask. Is this
Maybe the Chi are kind of mad at them still after they ruined the peaceful nature of their species for all eternity and besmirched their name.
Well, Pobity's nerfed.
Yeah.
I think it's around this time also. I don't know if they mention Tobias is talking about how he sleeps in a tree or something, or maybe he's talking about how he's afraid of owls around this time.
Yeah. He does a lot of musing about like the day versus night experience of being a hawk, which I think he's done before, but
Why doesn't Cassie could just let him sleep in her barn? Maybe he does sometimes, or B,
he doesn't want that.
B, they could build him a fucking house, like just build a little tree house for Tobias.
No. He's a bird and he wants to live like a bird. He wasn't happy eating the food out of Jake's attic. He wants to live in a tree.
All right, whatever, Tobias. You fucking nerd.
I bet that is legitimately if Cassie was like, we could build you a birdhouse, he'd be like, no.
Because it would be a little demeaning if they just we had a little house and like squirrels came up and
That's fair.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, speaking of the nighttime, I like the scene where Axe tries to silently sneak up on him, and Tobias goes, "Hi, Axe," and there's this implication Axe is like, one of these days I'll get you. So there's this implication that Axe sometimes comes and visits Tobias at night, and he's made like a
Mm.
little game of trying to sneak up on him. It's a neat little moment.
Yeah, tee hee hee. They're
Yeah,
buds. I like
they
the
are
Marco
buds.
and Tobias and Axe
Shorms.
pairing, but it seems like we're more about Axe and Tobias in these books. They've decided that's I feel like they're the Troy and Abed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Marco and Axe are fun for banter, but Axe and Tobias both have that kind of like outsider thing, live in the woods kind of thing
Yeah,
going on. So like they connect.
they have more in common, but I think it's fun when Marco is like a bad influence on Axe and gets him to do
Yeah,
shenanigans.
yeah, that's more entertaining. But the Tobias and Axe is for the wholesome stuff.
Yeah, I guess so. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
I don't know.
So
Did we get the Taxons yet? I don't remember.
yeah, there's Taxons in the woods. We haven't seen any yet, but they're in the woods chasing them, so they're running around
Okay. All right.
trying to get away. All we really know is that they're there and they'll chase them forever. They smell like bloodhounds, And yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So we're like almost an hour and a half in.
We're getting to the end. We're getting to the end. I think
I
we're
was
good.
gonna say, actually, do you think it's about time to reveal the gimmick of this book?
I will say it might be time, and I'll also say that I it wasn't it was like right here at this point when I went, is this some motherfucking what I think it
Yeah,
is?
yeah,
And then
and
they
it was.
it came like a very short, so I predicted it, but not until like a few pages in advance.
That's like literally perfect writing. Like you want the audience to just have that dawning realization right when it's revealed.
Yeah, and
That's perfect.
I don't know if I also if I had read these in real time even
Hmm.
a month apart between all these books, I don't know that I would have. I feel like a lot of it is because we've been reading them week to week. It's
Hmm.
the stuff is more fresh in my head, but
Yeah, I mean, maybe you would have reread them a million times because you'd have been a kid, but
yeah, maybe.
yeah. Well, Tobias is talking to Jarrah and Ket, and they tell him that a voice popped into their head and told them to run from the Yeerk pool. Like it wasn't their idea. The voice popped in and said, "Run and be free." And the voice also said that it would send a guide to help them. And Tobias is like, "All right, fuck this. Stop. We're not going to run. We're going to stay right here and get eaten by these taxons until I get some answers on what's going on." And guess who shows up? It's the Elemist. And he's like, "Hey, Tobias, it's me, miss me." And Tobias is like, "No." um, Tobias is transported to the Elemist dimension or something. It's like, whatever 11-dimensional space. It's all turquoise, and he can like see himself from like above and below in all these different angles and like the inside out and through himself and whatever. And he also can see that he is both simultaneously a hawk and a boy. So he's got like feathers and hands and a beak and a mouth and all this stuff. And the Elemist shows up as a giant conglomeration of different birds uh, to talk to him. And Tobias is like, Tobias is pissed off that he's being used. So he's like, "All right, you want me to help out these Hork Bajir so you can say you don't interfere or whatever. Like, fine, fine, but I want to be paid for my services." And and the Elemist is like, "Okay, what do you want, Tobias?" And Tobias says, "You know what I want." And the Elemist, in true Elemist fashion, says, and I quote, "Yes, but do you know what you want, Tobias? And if you get it, will you still know?" He's great. I love what a jackass he is. He's good.
Fuck this fucking guy.
It's the Elemist.
That's
It's an
really
Elemist book.
my main. Yeah, it is. It's an Elemist book. And they also, remember, they did name drop the Elemist in the last book. So
Yeah. This is when you were saying like, oh yeah, they pulled up the Elemist last time. I was like, that I think it's because they want to make sure you didn't forget because he's gonna be here next book.
yeah, so pretty good.
Yeah.
Good play.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, you know, it's exciting to have the Elemist back.
It sure is.
But my main. So here's the notes I took in this section. First one was, is this some fucking Elemist shit?
Mm-hmm.
Next note, is this book racist against Hork Bajir?
Mm-hmm.
Next note, fuck this Elemist motherfucker. So that's pretty much sums up my feelings on this entire scene. This was just this fucking guy with his fucking bullshit.
I love him.
I
Yeah,
love him, but he's such a fucking dick.
he has so many good things, like where Tobias is like, "What? Why are you making me do things I don't want to do?" And he says, "What have I made you do?" What a dick! Or like he's like he showed up as a bird because that's a form Tobias would identify with, and Tobias says he's a human, and the Elma says, "Really? You sure? You don't look human to me."
Now, my
Great.
reading of this was that you said he's like both bird and human. I didn't
Yeah.
think he was like literally like a morphed combo, but
No.
it's some kind of weird thing where he's like existing in two forms simultaneously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he says that there's no good way to like physically describe what it was.
It's like, I feel like I don't know how to articulate it, but almost the way sort of like Jake in the Monkey Book, how he could sort of perceive himself in two places at once.
Hmm.
Like I feel like it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, that sounds right to me from my imagining of it.
They also do name drop the chi in this book, by the way. So
Oh, where did they do that? I don't even remember.
Tobias, when he's in the Elemist dimension, he's talking about all the crazy shit they've seen, and he says, "I've seen Andalites and met the chi, the androids in human form."
Mm.
So it's not like
Yeah.
you even have to remember stuff to think, why not ask the chi for help? But whatever.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and also, again, important. I don't know. I don't know if this is really important, but I feel like
Hmm.
it keeps coming up, and I'm not 100% sure about it. But the Elemist does say he's the Elemist, or quote, or at least an Elemist.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the problems with this is that I have to take the Elemist Chronicles as the last word on what he means. Just 100%. Like, there's no way around that. So I have to interpret this in that context. It's quite possible that she didn't quite know what Elamists were when she wrote this. So she was like,
Yeah.
there might be a lot of them, there might not. I don't know. But
Up
I
until
have
this-
to yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah. Up until this point of these books, it seems like pretty. I don't know, I guess I shouldn't say clear, because nothing's really clear about the Elemist, but there have been multiple hints that there's an entire race of Elamists.
Yes, yeah. That seems to be a thing that she's thinking of them in terms of right here. Like I said, I have to interpret it as the line between one Elemist and multiple Elamists is blurred, because that makes sense in the terms of the Elemist Chronicles. This idea that like, is this the same incarnation of Elemist? Are what's the difference between one Elemist and many Elamists? It's not something that is easily defined in terms of the way we think about one versus many identities. That's how I have to think of it. But yeah, at this point, there is still an implication that there are a lot of other Elamists, though what they might be like is unknown.
Yeah, so there's that.
Yeah.
A couple other, I feel, important notes in this scene. Well, Tobias says bull, which I think has happened before, but still,
Yeah.
you know.
He says that when the Ellimist says he doesn't interfere with other species.
And yes, and it's appropriate to
Yeah, it
respond
is
that way.
appropriate. Yeah.
Elamist also calls Tobias a point on which an entire timeline may turn.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty mysterious.
Yeah, it is pretty mysterious.
And I guess, I mean, it's obvious, but we can come out and say that the thing Tobias wants is to be a human again. He doesn't actually say it, but
Yeah, he does not actually say it.
or it's to
Nor
fuck Rachel. I don't know. Go on.
Yeah, nor does the Ellimist actually confirm that he's gonna do it. Like it's all kind of up in the air. Like Tobias is gonna take it as the Ellimist said he would give me what I wanted, but like all of that is very. It's not quite. And again, and they make a point of this later. When things aren't explicitly defined with the Ellimist, you should kind of be running under the assumption that he might just fuck you over.
Yeah, he gives me strong genie vibes, like evil genie
Mm,
or monkey's
mm.
paw kind of thing.
Yeah, I he's almost like the opposite to me. He's benevolent, but not in a good way.
Yeah, I guess not. Maybe evil is too strong, but like a
Yeah,
trickster.
yeah. Like he wants to do good, but what you think about as important isn't important to him. So like, if he can do some good in the world, and in exchange he you have to die, then he will happily lie to you about that fact and just be like, oh yeah, it's fine, just do it, it's good.
This fucking guy.
Yeah, he certainly is more than happy to lie, or at least uh, make it appear that he's saying something that he's not.
Yeah, yeah. What a piece of
Yep,
shit.
I love every time the Ellimist shows up. Ellimist is great.
We also, I mean, I love that he exists. There's also a skunk cameo, so
Yes, there is a skunk cameo coming up here, and I was kind of wondering if you got a little bit terrified that maybe the rest of the book was going to be about skunks from this point forward.
are they gonna? Is the Ellimist gonna ask for grape juice or something? That
Tobias, I need you to become a skunk. You need to be trapped as a skunk from now on and not a hawk. So,
I did. I made a new post-it note on my monitor, and I wrote "unimportant skunk."
okay, good. You can take that one down. It's unimportant.
Well, I'm keeping it up so I know that it's unimportant.
Okay, maybe it'll become important. We'll just assume
Yeah,
every skunk we see is the same skunk.
yeah. I'm pretty sure this is one of the kits that grew up.
Mmm. Which one do you think it
It
is?
must be Joey. Was that one of them? I don't remember. The
No,
Ramones, right?
yeah, it was the Ramones.
Isn't
Yeah,
Joey
the
a
friends were
Ramone?
the Dolphins. I don't remember the Ramones names.
Isn't Joey Ramone like the famous one?
Is he?
I
I guess, sure.
thought that
You
was.
can see how in tune with that I am.
What's a fucking Ramone song? I can't even think of one. I'm not. Clearly, I'm not the biggest classic rock head.
Well, whatever. That they see a skunk
I
because
want to be sedated. Okay, that's.
yep, yep. They also did that Pet Cemetery song.
Oh yeah, and
It's on my
Blitzkrieg Bop.
Halloween playlist, so I hear it more than any of the others.
Why did I think I get them confused? I think with the Clash. Oh, that's Should I Stay or
Mm,
Should I Go Now?
yes, yeah, that's not them.
Anyway, yeah, there's a Joey. All right, continue.
Yeah, whatever. Tobias has gotten his thing. Elmist is going to give him, quote, what he really wants, unquote, which is to be human. And so Tobias pops back in and he's like, all right. So he spends all night guiding Jera and Ket through the forest to make sure the Taxons can't catch up. This is, at this point, is when they run into the skunk, which is very important. In the morning, they stop to eat, and it is revealed that Hork Bajir eat tree bark, which is why they have blades on their limbs. They don't have any natural predators. They don't hunt prey. They use their blades to strip bark off of trees so that they can eat tree bark. Um, Tobias feels kind of embarrassed about killing animals in front of the Hork Bajir, so he flies off to get his own food, and he gets attacked by a bobcat, and he almost dies right then and there. Right, there's a scene where in the middle of all this stuff with the Taxons and whatever, he has to face down a bobcat, and he almost dies. Um, he's like using a weapon, a pointed stick to get away, when a Taxon pops up and eats the bobcat in a single bite. And Tobias looks around and he just sees absolute swarms of Taxons still crawling around in broad daylight where anybody could see him. So even though they made it through the night, they're still not safe. So we get to find out about Hork Bajir eating.
Yeah, this is huge.
Yeah, it is huge. This is the important part here.
I mean, this was since we first introduced Hork Bajir, I'm pretty sure I'm on the record on the podcast saying, if these motherfuckers are so peaceful, why are they covered in blades?
Yeah, this is
Makes
why.
no sense. Now, so this is why. So, there's a little moment of, oh. I like that this is also kind of like finding out how Andalites eat. This is like a reveal of how every species eats.
It's important, yeah.
Now, does this mean that the yeerks have to have trees for the Hork Bajir to eat too?
Yeah, I was wondering if there are any like yeerk-owned like Christmas tree farms or something like that.
Yeah, you would think they would be. I guess that's why they have a forest headquarters right here, apparently, or something. But
I mean, legitimately, they probably do have to like they've got to get their guys in the news stations and in the police and maybe into the hospitals, and then they've also got to get them into the tree farming people, the paper plant guys or whatever.
Now, I still don't know that it makes sense for them to also have the blades like on their legs and shit.
That's for down low. Ket says.
They can't bend over and use an arm blade.
No.
Also,
Ket says for down by bottom or something like that of tree.
I guess they are. This is, they're aliens. You can do whatever you want, but it's sort of the equivalent of being like, well, humans eat meat, so why didn't we evolve to have sharp blades to kill animals or something? Like, it's sort of whatever. Evolution works differently in different planets. I don't know, but
right.
We
did evolve like our teeth to be specialized for everything. Our like super omnivore teeth, right?
Sure, yeah. It's stuff like that happens. I guess
you can kind of tell, yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
Now there is a great scene, with where they're eating this pine tree bark, and Jera says, "When Jera himi small, Jera himi eat from the canver, eat from the luhak, eat from the tall fit." And Tobias asks if those are all trees like ours, and Ket and Jera both say better. But then they get a little bit embarrassed. They feel like maybe they were being rude. So they go, "Earth tree good. Earth tree good." I don't want to insult, the pine tree. You just, I know it's not as good as the fit, but or the luhak.
Yeah, that is a great scene.
It's very good.
Earth tree good. Earth tree good. Earth tree good.
Earth tree good.
Yeah, Earth tree good. Earth tree so good, honey. Earth tree good. Earth tree good.
Yeah.
I don't even think about the canver.
Mom, can I get canver? We have canver at home.
That's another tweet. It's so stupid. Yeah. That's great. Good Hork Bajir stuff. I mean, we're learning a lot about Hork Bajir this book. That's a big thing.
Yeah. I love Hork Bajir, so I love when we learn about Hork Bajir. It's great. We get a little bit more discussion on Hork Bajir and Andalites too. When he's talking about how they have no prey and predators, they're non-violent. Jera says, "Hork Bajir not kill, yeerk kill Andalite, Andalite kill yeerk, Hork Bajir die." So it seems like there's a little bit more depth here. Like they resent Axe and Andalites. They don't really see the Andalites as helping them. They see that it's more like they're caught in the middle of these two great powers, right? The Andalites are fighting the yeerks. They've got this great galactic battle. The Hork Bajir just want to sit and eat their trees, and they're all dying. So, like, Axe is like, we're trying to save you, but the Hork Bajir are like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Let me eat my tree in peace.
Yeah, and the Andalites are dicks. I don't really...
They are kind of dicks.
I have no sympathy for them.
Well, that's unfortunate because, well, we'll talk about it, but you're going to have to have sympathy for Andalites pretty soon.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
The only thing, I'll tell you who I don't have any fucking sympathy for, unlike some people on this podcast, is the goddamn Taxons, and I will never forgive them for killing this poor innocent bobcat.
Okay. I have a lot of sympathy for taxons.
Yeah, I know. You love fucking evil, soulless monster worms that
it's only a couple.
Love to hate.
It's not long now. A couple more episodes, and we will talk about my sympathy for taxons.
Whatever.
We're close.
Fucking weird fuck. Okay.
and then you can call me out on my explicit beliefs about taxons and not just the fact that I've said that.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, this is going to come up through the rest of the book, but it's worth noting here that the Yeerks do not give a shit at this point, right? Like, there is a very real worry, it seems, that if these two Hork Bajir start rebelling, the other Hork Bajir might start rebelling. Like, if they let these two Hork Bajir get away, right, who knows? They might lose control. So it's like, we are gonna catch them, even if it means literally revealing our presence to the world, even if it means literally fucking up the Earth invasion. Like, we are not gonna give any Hork Bajir any reason to start trying to run away. So, like, these Taxons are out in broad daylight. These Hork Bajir are out in broad daylight, and it's not gonna stop.
Yeah.
So that is worth paying attention to through these sections.
I'm paying attention to it.
Yeah. Anyway, the others have flown in at this point, right? It's morning, so Jake and Marco and they're all coming in, and Tobias meets up with them. They've been like trying to scare people out of the yeerk path so they don't die, because anyone randomly in the woods is going to get overrun and eaten by taxons or whatever. Tobias reveals that the Elemist has been doing this, and he promised to give him, what he wants to be human, blah, blah, blah. They got to move fast because the Hork Bajir are being, trapped in. And so they decide to reveal their human identities to Jera and Ket to sort of speed up the process. So now Jera and Ket can never be recaptured, right? They did, like, that is the consequence of this. They have to either escape or die, because if they get captured, the Animorphs will be found out too. As an aside, they think it's very funny. They're like, "You human folk? Key raw, whatever." So they all start hiking toward whatever path Tobias thinks is right, which is hopefully the Elemist Valley. And Tobias is out scouting and hunting, and he sees choppers coming in, and he's like running back toward them, like, "Get off the road," like in Lord of the Rings. And he gets caught in turbulence from a chopper and thrown into a tree and breaks his wing. Yeah. So we get like a reveal and a bunch of more action. A lot of action this book.
Yeah, a lot of action. Got a lot of everything. It's got a lot of everything.
Sure does.
There's so they all meet up, and there's a section where Cassie says something about another force manipulating you. They're like theorizing about the Elemist.
Yeah.
And Tobias says, "If it had been anyone but Cassie, I would have probably said something sarcastic." I could be sarcastic to Cassie.
Yeah, well, so could Marco. He does it all the time.
Yeah, Tobias says it's impossible to be sarcastic to Cassie.
Yeah, well, for him it is.
Okay.
He's a little bit nicer than Marco.
Tobias is frequently a dick to the other Animorphs, I feel.
That's true.
He often makes remarks that are kind of just short and rude. This whole, did you say free or dead? That's a whole thing.
Yeah, that happens in here, yeah.
But yeah, like they start chanting "free or dead, free or dead." That's like new.
Rachel starts it like Ket Halpak says, like, "free or dead" or whatever, and Rachel's like, "Yeah, free or dead," and they're all chanting it. Yeah.
This is some hardcore shit. Like, these are.
Yeah, it's good.
This is fucking cold blooded. This group of 13-year-olds again is just within the span of a minute agrees with each other. So we're gonna have to murder them if they get captured, right? Yeah. We gotta murder them.
Yeah. I mean, Axe shows up and he's like pissed off. He's like, "You guys, what are you doing? Like, they can't."
I
And
did.
Rachel's like, no, don't worry, Axe free or dead.
Don't you think now, like they distinctly make a point to never thought speak to Visser 3 because he might figure out they're human. So these Hork Bajir are just so stupid that they can't tell they're human through thought speak because they've been doing
Yeah,
that all the time.
yeah, no, the Hork Bajir couldn't figure it out. They didn't know.
They don't know the difference. They don't know how Andalites talk, so they're just like, they sound smart. Big words. Must be Andalite.
Yeah, they don't know. They're not suspicious types.
I guess fair, even though they have had yeerks in their heads for years, so that you'd think they might pick up on what humans sound like. But
Well, maybe their Yeerks would, but they're just like, I don't know.
yeah, doesn't that some of that go both ways though? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. You probably
I don't know.
listen. They just want eat bark. Want
all
climb fit.
all Hork Bajir know is eat bark and lie.
That's right.
Marco
That's right.
even says, "I don't mean to get all CIA about this." When they're talking about having to kill them, like it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
fucking hardcore.
Yeah.
All right.
It isn't. It is a kind of. I don't know. To be fair, the Hork Bajir do themselves say no. Free, like the free or dead
Well,
phrase comes from Ket.
Luckily, it does. Otherwise, like this is, if they were immediately willing to go along with it, you're now in a horrible moral dilemma.
Yeah.
But fortunately, it's very simple and everyone's on the same page here.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good. The Hork Bajir do not want to be recaptured, so it's fine.
Yeah. So this raccoon fucks Tobias up a little bit.
Yeah. So there's going to be a raccoon coming in now. Because Tobias, remember, he was off with the choppers,
Oh, he
and
falls and hurts himself
yeah, he fell
before
and
the
broke his
raccoon.
wing. Yeah, he fell and broke his wing because he was caught in the turbulence. So he's lying there with a broken wing, and he sees a raccoon coming, and the raccoon's gonna eat him. Um,
As we've established already, raccoons are monsters who will kill and eat hawks.
yeah, I don't know about Tobias's earlier worries about raccoons coming up the tree at him, but a broken wing, helpless hawk, yeah, a raccoon would absolutely eat that shit, 100%.
Sure.
But yeah, this is the second time this book where Tobias is about to die to something very like normal.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it's a pretty horrifying scene because the raccoon like grabs him by his broken wing and starts dragging him toward the stream to like pick over him and eat him alive. And Tobias is like trying to scare it off, but it doesn't give a shit. And he's like screaming because he's about to die and there's nothing he can do. And what the hell did I just do? Okay, whatever. Don't worry about it. It's not important to the podcast.
I'm worried.
But yeah, the Ellimist pops in while he's about to be eaten alive, and the Ellimist is like, "So Tobias, do you want your reward now?" Tobias goes, "Yes, please." The Ellimist is like, "Okay, done." And Tobias is like, "What the fuck? I'm still a bird." And the Ellimist is like, "Well, yeah, of course you're still a bird." Because it turns out that what the Ellimist has done is he's given Tobias back his ability to morph because that's, quote, what he really wanted, unquote, but he didn't make him human again. So Tobias is raging, he's pissed off, but he's got to act faster, he's going to get eaten alive, so he acquires the raccoon and he starts morphing into it, and the real raccoon's like, oh, fuck that, I'm out, and leaves. And then he has to turn back to a hawk to fly to his friends because the raccoon morph sucks.
Yeah. Now, I 100% thought that what was going to happen was the Ellimist was going to say, hey, I'll give you your reward now, but it's going to be, if you want it now, it's just to save your life from the raccoon. And since that was your reward, then you only get one reward for this. So either take this or you can like try to fight the raccoon yourself and maybe die, and I'll give you the human thing later.
Yeah. The Ellimist is a little bit trickier than that.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's got a plan. He had a plan for this the whole time. He's got ideas.
He's got ideas, this Ellimist guy.
Yeah. And nobody is happy about his ideas.
And it was also immediately before this, by the way, I was thinking, man, you know what's cool about Tobias is when, like, everyone else, when they get injured, they can just morph back. So it's like NBD. But with
Mhm.
Tobias, the danger is a lot more immediate, and you have to really consider that a broken wing could put him out of commission for weeks. And
Yeah.
then immediately they're like, nah, he can morph.
Yeah. It is funny that the only thing the morphing does from is heal his wing. Like, this raccoon morph sucks. It does not, he can't get back to his friends. He can't do anything as a raccoon.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so basically, he just got the ability to heal his wing. He's already in the perfect body.
Yeah. Still pretty good, though. I mean, this is a thing. We'll talk about it, but
Hmm.
this is a pretty big thing.
Yeah.
It's good for a number of reasons, not the least of which is that now Tobias can actually do shit and come on missions, and Kay Applegate doesn't have to come up with write a sad paragraph every book of him going, I wish
Yeah.
I could help, guys.
Yeah. I feel bad because I wasn't there. Yeah. We did kind of miss out because now he can heal. I was thinking this would be a great like B plot in a book, is if Tobias broke his wing and he had to spend a week in Cassie's barn, right?
Oh man.
Wouldn't that be cool? Because then he could get all snippy about the other animals there, and like Cassie's dad could come in, and Tobias would be like thinking about what he did, but he couldn't talk to him, and
Now
but he
that's the
could
Cassie
complain
book
about
I
him.
want to read.
Yeah,
Give me the
yeah,
Cassie Tobias book.
yeah. But now he can just heal himself, so he can't be in Cassie. Yeah,
Should we talk about the logistics of? I guess we can get into it more later because more stuff will come up in terms of like how this morphing works and everything. But
sure.
I
If
don't.
you
I
think
don't
it's
know.
better later, we can do it later. No problem.
Might as well, I guess. Just wait until we have the entire picture cleared up for us.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because we're getting pretty close to the end here. Although, like you said earlier, it's not nearly as like, and then they fight and then it's over. It's like kind of drawn out, and there's an actual conclusion. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But so Tobias, he flies back to them. He sees the Yeerks are they've got their Taxons and Hork Bajir coming at him from one side. They've overflown them with the helicopters, and they're setting forest fires with their Dracon beams on the other side. So they're trapping them all in. Um, so they're all caught in with this fire. They reconvene and they decide that since the Yeerks are not going to stop until Jera and Ket are dead, they're going to have to fake their deaths. Rachel already morphed Jera, and so Jake's like, I can morph Ket, and Tobias is like, not this time. This time, I'll do it. And everyone's like, yeah, anyway. So that gets revealed to them that he can morph now. It's a fun little scene. Tobias as Rachel and Jera and Ket, they make a run for a nearby ravine. They have to like, there's some scenes where they have to like dodge their way around guys with Jake spotting them from above. They have to fight their way through some enemy Hork Bajir, but they get to this ravine. When they get there, Visser 3 is there, and they're like, Jera, Hemi, and Ket Halpak free, and they jump off the ravine. And Marco is waiting on the side of the cliff. He catches them out of the air as a gorilla. And meanwhile, the real Jera and Ket pretend to be dead at the bottom of the ravine, and Cassie and Axe have morphed wolf, and they start, pretending to eat them. By which I mean actually ripping chunks of meat out of them and eating it, but they. So Visser 3 is tricked, and he gloats, this is the fate of all Hork Bajir who would defy the Yeerks, and the Yeerks all go home. And so they're safe. They've done it.
Wait, they actually rip flesh off of them?
Yeah, they bite pieces out of them.
Are you really?
I'm pretty sure they did. They're like pretending to eat them. They say like, well, fortunately the Hork Bajir are tough.
Just seems like hard to play dead when you're being literally physically ripped apart.
Jeremy cut his own head open and showed his brain to people.
Well, it's in the way it's written, it says pretended to begin devouring them. And then it does say, fortunately, Hork Bajir can stand a lot of pain and they heal quickly.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
they were eating them.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a little weird because it does. So I don't know how far they really go. Like maybe they're just
Yeah,
biting them.
it says a pair of hungry wolves were already tearing at their dead flesh.
Yeah, I guess so. So they're not pretending to begin devouring them. They're fucking devouring them.
They're beginning to devour them, yeah.
Devoured. Okay. So this is a rare instance in an Animorphs book where we don't know the plan ahead of time, right?
Yeah.
That like this is a surprise to us how this is going to go.
Yeah, usually there's like a scene where they'll talk about the plan and then they'll do it. But here Tobias is just like, "Well, wait a second, we need a plan." And Jake's like, "Oh yeah, I'm on the same page."
So that's fun, and that definitely adds to the. I mean, it's a better plan than they usually come up with, so it's surprising they were able to think of it this quickly. Or
Yeah.
I don't know when they talked about this, or yeah, even Tobias doesn't tell us, which is kind of weird since we're in his head. But whatever,
Yeah.
dramatically or in terms of storytelling, it's more interesting
Mhm.
to be
It's always
surprised.
fun to have like a fake our own deaths to escape the death trap kind of plan. I like
Yeah,
those.
it is a little. I assumed that he was gonna jump off and then morph into a hawk and fly away when they couldn't see. I
Mm.
don't know. I don't know how good a
Rachel
plan it
might not have
is.
had time to
Right.
do that though, and they need two of them to do
That
it.
that is true, but how confident were they in Marco being able to catch them, put his arm out at the right time and catch them a Hork Bajir in midair, hold them up fully, and not get his hand mauled by one of their blades or something? Like this seems
I
like a
do I do believe Jake says, like, don't worry, Marco, it's as easy as catching a pass blindfolded. You'll do fine. And I remember thinking,
yeah.
that sounds really hard.
Yeah, he says that it's easy for the mighty Marco or
Oh,
something.
yeah, easy for the mighty Marco, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of things had to really go right for this plan to work out, and in a short span of time. Like, what if Visser 3 had been looking over the edge a little earlier? you
Yeah.
know?
I'm not entirely sure how they got the Hork Bajir there either. Like, I know how the Animorphs got through the encirclement to get themselves down there, but somehow, I guess while all eyes were on Tobias and Rachel, they were able to sneak Jera and Ket through.
I think I went back and reread it I think there was a part where they said they went down there or something,
Yeah.
but I don't
But like
remember.
in theory, they shouldn't have been able to get him down there because they were encircled. I don't know.
I don't know. I
They did
also
it.
thought they should have jumped at the same time. Like, why did Rachel jump early?
They needed to. They do say they needed to because Marco could only catch one of them at a time.
Oh, right.
So they were just like, it might be better, but we can't do that.
If only two of them had gorilla morphs, but alas.
Yeah.
All
Well, to
right.
be fair, they needed two wolves at the bottom to eat. They needed Jake to fly
Right.
cover. They needed
Oh,
two
yeah.
guys. Yeah.
Now, I also did kind of think, okay, I understand Tobias is excited. He wants to morph and be part of the group. He also did need a bird in this
Yes.
scene. And Jake is explicitly struggling because he's not used to playing
Yeah.
lookout.
Yeah, like Jake is nice about it. Like he's like, I'll be running air cover, which is Tobias's old job. Hope I do as good a job as you always did,
It's like,
Tobias. But then he really doesn't. He's like, oh fuck, I don't know how to do this.
yeah, this is
Christ.
not the time to be playing around with your team lineup. Like,
Yeah.
just
Yeah, no, he's doing all this stuff that's just like, yeah, go left. Oh no, that's my left. Go your right. Oh fuck. Go to that pile of boulders. What pile? Oh, it looks like a pile of boulders from up here. From your perspective, it looks like something else, I bet.
yeah, yeah. Let Tobias do this job. Like, and just, yeah, Jake should be the Hork Bajir, but other than we
Yeah.
wouldn't get to have Tobias do a morph. So,
Yeah, and it's kind of fun to have Tobias and Rachel, play as the star-crossed
oh,
couple.
yeah, that's
You know,
true.
there's like kind of a sweet aspect to it in a way.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, it also would have been sweet to have it be between Jake and Rachel, but.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things in this plan that I feel like if you analyze them closely in any regard maybe don't quite seem plausible, but it just in the moment, it's a good scene.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. It's fun. Um, but yeah, so all that's left now is to wrap up the plot points. And like we were saying, normally this would be a 1-page chapter, maybe a 2-page chapter, but it's 3 chapters here. There's a couple things we got to wrap up.
Mm.
So first, the Hork Bajir. They bring Ket and Jera to the Elamist Valley. Which we said before, it's the Garden of Eden, the valley from the land before time. It's like there's all these different kinds of trees. There's a lake. It's super hidden, so the only path in is like this crevice through some rocks, which they describe as like an old bandit hideout.
They haven't
From the
invented
air,
Google Maps yet, so it's
yeah,
not
and
shown
from
up.
the air, it doesn't look like a valley from the air. They say it looks like just some dense trees.
Okay, yeah.
Like you just it doesn't whatever. They actually question whether this valley even existed or whether the Elemist made it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Jera and Ket tell them that they're gonna have Kawatnaj here, which Kawatnaj means a baby. They're gonna have Ket is pregnant. She's gonna have a baby.
Wait, she is pregnant? I'll let you
I
finish the
think
book.
so. I thought she was already pregnant because they say earlier, they're already talking about Kawatnaj.
Yeah, I took that to mean, hey, this is a great place for us to fuck.
Oh, interesting. Because that was the thing I was going to start wondering about is when did they have time to fuck?
Yeah, they definitely don't explicitly say she's pregnant already.
Yeah, no, they don't. They say this is a good place for Kawatnaj. But
Right.
I just assumed because way at the beginning or in the middle, I guess, a while ago, they were talking about Kawatnaj.
They did mention it earlier.
Maybe they were just saying, well, now that we're free, we could have Kawatnaj.
At first, I mean, they do say it means small Hork Bajir, but I definitely thought Kawatnaj just meant sex. Good place for Kawatnaj.
Yeah, oh yeah. Good place. Maybe it does. Maybe Hork Bajir only have sex for procreative purposes.
Because when asked what it means, they laugh and they say Kawatnaj, small Hork Bajir. So like they could be leaving out verbs in there, like Kawatnaj makes a small Hork Bajir.
Oh yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. This is way better than my reading.
Okay, anyway.
But yeah, this would be the first free Hork Bajir baby in many years, Axe says. So that's cool.
Wow.
That's nice. We got a restart. So that wraps up the Hork Bajir there. But now Tobias is feeling sorry for himself in his meadow. He goes to sleep for the night and he finds himself in his old room with his old self. It's like it's a dream, but it doesn't seem like it is. And his old self wakes up to find him there. And he sees on a calendar it's the day before he went to the construction site. He's got this feeling of familiarity, like he remembers having had the dream. And he acquires his old human self and puts him in a trance so he falls back to sleep. So now he can morph his old human self again, and if he wants to, he could stay in human morph and be human forever, but he could never be a bird again. So he's got this choice now. But at any rate, in the last chapter, Tobias shows up at Rachel's Packard Foundation Outstanding Student Ceremony as a human and surprises her. That's a fun little teen drama scene. And that's the book.
Yeah, so he basically lets him go back in time.
Yeah, he like pops him back in time to a thing that he thought was a dream before and lets him acquire himself.
So chronologically, this happened before the Andalites crashed.
Yeah, this happened literally the night before the first scene in book 1.
Right, because Tobias tells himself to go to the junkyard, the construction site, I mean.
Yeah, which is very funny that now the Elemist isn't just doing this Tobias thing, he's also creating time loops where Tobias has now told himself, because Tobias went there, he can now tell himself to go there. And the Elemist somehow, and it's clearly the Elemist sets this up.
Yeah, he's responsible for all of it, really, in a way.
Yeah, he's doing all of it.
It's kind of Futurama-esque, with the
yeah,
when he like goes back in time to that first episode and
Yes.
There's other examples of this, I'm sure. Where, I mean, any time travel movie basically does
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. I mean, the only difference here is that it's intentionally being done by a bullshit trickster god who likes to break rules but then pretend he didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. So now we have, like you said, he could now he has to worry about the morphing limit again when he's not a hawk. His
Yes.
hawk is default, but he could theoretically get stuck as a human.
Mhm.
And but meanwhile, whenever he's not aging still as a human.
Yeah. This is an interesting point. When later in the series when they're all 16, is he still 13? Because that's a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a little bit it's strange.
Yeah.
There's some strange things going on there, but again, it's still it's kind of a relief that he can morph now. I feel
Mhm.
like at this point in the series, I feel like it was necessary for Tobias to be more of a part of the team and get to actually do stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But still with
And
this little wrinkle to it.
yeah, and it's fun because the Elemist is very pleased with himself because he has in the most true sense he has kept his word, right? He has given Tobias what he wants, which is the choice to either morph or be human. He can't have both, right? But he can have whichever one he wants, right? Which is what he promised him, you see. And
Uh,
there's like a whole thing where he's like, "Have I kept my promise, Tobias?" And Tobias is like, "Yeah,"
no.
and he's like, "And are you happy?"
No.
Which we don't get an answer to Tobias being happy.
Yeah,
That
no.
just breaks the chapter when he asks, "Are you happy?"
Tobias is like, I've never been happy.
That's
Now,
right.
and so yeah, I mean, I don't know. He didn't. No. Fuck. This is fucking bullshit. It's not.
Yeah. Listen, again, the Elemist loves technically obeying the exact letter of whatever law has been put on him, which we don't know most of them, but completely breaking them in spirit. And that's what he's doing here. You know,
Yeah.
if you say he promised to make Tobias human again, then yeah, he broke that 100%. But that's not quite what the rule was. Ah, ah,
Gotcha.
gotcha.
Oh, we also find out the difference between male and female Hork Bajir.
Yes, we do. It's a great scene.
Yeah, males have
You got the quote up?
3 horn blades. Yeah. Jerahami and Ket Halpak different. Jerahami have 3 here. Ket have 2, referring to their horn blades. And Marcus says that's
Yes.
the only difference? Other difference too, but only for Hork Bajir to know.
She says it primly, too.
Primly, yeah, that's a pretty good word.
Only for Hork Bajir to know.
Cut
I
to giant Hork Bajir dick.
I also like Jared doesn't know what Marco is asking, how do you tell a difference between a male and female Hork Bajir? And Jeremy just does not know what this means. Right? Ket has to answer. Ket gets it. Jeremy and Ket Halpak different. But Jared doesn't get it.
Yeah, he's a bit dumb.
Well, Hork Bajir don't have as thorough of a
Sure.
concept of gender as humans do.
Sure. They'll learn. Now, and I gotta say this. All right, the final scene. Look, I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna tell you when
Mm-hmm.
Tobias, he surprises Rachel at her Hewlett Packard ceremony.
Right.
He says, "Hi, Rachel." That's the last sentence of the book.
Uh-huh.
I teared up a little bit.
It's good. It's good. It's like some perfect like CW teen drama where Rachel like walks past him and then like does a double take and like eyes wide.
I mean, I
It's
think
good.
I've said it before, but the Tobias and Rachel to me are very Buffy and Angel,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a pairing I like. I like to ship them. What can I say?
They're a
And
little less problematic than Buffy and Angel, despite the
well,
bestiality.
yeah, I mean, depends on your perspective. Depends on your perspective, but I like that. There's something about that gets to me, and it was nice. And honestly, I was almost a little surprised by I wasn't prepared to confront how much I actually care about these characters and that would emotionally affect me after, a book full of like weird sci-fi bullshit that it's
Yeah.
just like this simple little, oh, it's
Yeah, it's
nice.
nice. It's nice. It's good. It's a good ending. Listen, there's a reason why at the end of the day, for all the like Rachel's like good banter with Marco and the weird Jake Rachel lust, I still like I gotta ship Rachel and Tobias. How can you not?
Yeah, agreed. Definitely shipping Jake and Rachel because of my lust for cousins. All right, so
Your tone there tells me that there's truth to that statement.
so I don't know. I didn't say anything out loud, so you must have heard some thought speak.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so yeah, it's a great book. It's a great book. Maybe my favorite book so far. I don't know. It's up
Quite
there.
possibly. Quite possibly. I could easily see this being my favorite so far. We'll do our ordered list, but this may
Oh,
well
well.
top my first 13.
All right, so
Yeah.
yeah.
I did have one more thing from
Yeah.
Seropedia that I forgot about.
Oh, so
Uh,
did I. Go ahead. Maybe it's the same thing I was
uh,
going to say.
well, it said by this point in the series,
Yeah.
K.A. Applegate had been asked several times by fans to make Tobias human again.
Yeah. Yeah. So you got to wonder, was this just to be like, all right, fucking fine. Here
Yeah.
you go.
Or, I mean, this could be her being ornery too, where it's like, oh, you want him human again? Oh, I'll make him human again.
Yeah, here's what you get.
Yeah, she's the Elemist now.
She really is the Elemist of this series. That's her.
Mhm.
That's her stand-in character.
Yeah.
Now I don't know that Seropedia quote doesn't sound very like scientifically sourced. It just says like
Yeah.
at this point a bunch of people asked her about that. Like, what is who? Where's
Maybe they
that?
pulled this from Annabase.
What's that?
It's like a fan site that she often interacted with. They cite it a lot of times on Seropedia.
Interesting. But anyway, all right. So this is our longest episode yet, I'm pretty sure.
By far. By far.
We did have another email, but I think we're going to save it for next week.
Are we? Okay, I guess that's fair because we've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
Oh, I was wondering if you noticed, by the way, before we actually finish, did you notice I spoiled this book at the end of last episode secretly?
I mean, you said Tobias turns into a boy.
Yeah, I did, and I was like, it's good because you'll think it's just a stupid joke about the cover, but no, he does turn into a boy.
I mean, I think I did think it was just a joke, but I also did see that cover and kind of go, yeah, I guess he's probably going to turn into a boy.
Okay.
Or at least I don't know that I don't know if how actively I was considering the possibility, but it definitely was somewhere in my head. Like clearly, it was in reverse. He's turning into a boy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, okay. I just wanted everybody to know that I was feeling very pleased with myself for how clever I was being.
And you should, and you were.
Put that on the record.
Okay. Well, the good news is there's a very short list of pop culture references in this book.
Yes, not a lot.
Ain't no Marco book. This won't take long to get through, and we can get out of here.
Yeah.
Somebody asks, you think Romeo and Juliet were doomed? I don't remember the context.
Tobias is musing to himself.
Yeah, so, a lot of Romeo and Juliet stuff. The yeerk controllers come out on 15 Yamahas and Kawasaki's. Those are these specific dirt bikes.
Yep.
Here's kind of a borderline one. I wrote down, someone's compared something to it, saying it was like a really bad chess game. Does that count as a reference? Okay. Chess is a pop culture, right? It's a game. It's an invented
sure.
game.
Why not? Yeah, it was the 90s, so what's its deep
It's not
blue
trademarked, I guess, but I don't know. Again, this Hork Bajir is not exactly Stephen Hawking. Marco comes up with new words for, quote, that Barney song, which are something about I hate you or I
kill you, you kill me, we're an alien family.
That's what it is. As Rachel morphs, Tobias says she's quickly heading toward Shaq size. The basketball player, not the structure. There's a second Romeo and Juliet reference for the Hork Bajir. They call that place the Garden of Eden and Adam and Eve. I'm considering those references.
Yep, I would
Um,
too.
the good old days when breakfast was a nice, easy bowl of Wheaties.
I bet Wheaties is K.A. Applegate's favorite cereal.
Yeah,
It's got to be.
or it's just a good go-to reference for everybody knows about Wheaties.
I
I don't
guess,
know.
sure.
Uh,
Cheerios.
of course, Marco calls the Hork Bajir two walking Cuisinarts.
Mm-hmm.
No, what was the other one he likes to say? Salad
Salad
spinners.
shooters.
Shooters,
Yeah.
yeah, we didn't get that. Marco, I believe, references, quote, that Valderie Valdera song.
Mm-hmm.
Starts singing some of that.
Yeah. He specifically calls it the Valderie Valdera ha 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 song.
Sure. And Tobias, as a boy, a human boy, has a Star Trek calendar in his room.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
So that
Did you count? Does it count when he describes Marco's fist as looking like a Virginia baked ham?
you
Does
know,
that count?
I googled that, and my determination was it does not.
Okay.
But
Okay, good.
I
I'm
don't
glad
believe
been
it's
determined.
a trademark. But I mean, neither was chess. I don't know. So it's
Yeah.
up to your discretion, I
They
suppose.
also reference ThoughtSpeak as being like email, which I'm always putting these in there because the computer stuff from the '90s is funny to me, even though it.
Oh yeah. Again, that's the second time they've done that. We said
Yeah.
they needed Twitter, really, but yeah, I think Virginia
Yeah.
baked ham. I feel like is sort of like it's saying Manhattan clam chowder. You know what I mean? Like
Gotcha.
it's like a specific food, but it's not like a product.
All right. Good. Glad that's cleared up.
Okay, now favorite Marco jokes.
There's really not a lot in here. There's really only two that I have written down as like actual jokes as opposed to just quips.
Okay. One of them has to be the difference between male and female Hork Bajir.
Yeah. One of them is for sure. Do you want to do that one or do you want me to do that one?
I don't have it open, so if you have it.
Okay. He says, how exactly do you tell a man Hork Bajir from a woman Hork Bajir? Do the women put makeup on their wrist blades? Do they use nail polish on those big nasty toes of theirs? I mean, do female Hork Bajir cry at chick movies? Do they get all goo-goo when they see a baby? Do female Hork Bajir get all weird around bugs and snakes? At which point Cassie throws a snake on him and he freaks out.
Yeah, Marco is funny. That was
it's quite good.
It really is a good run there.
Yeah.
And what was your other one?
The other one I had was when he says, I remember when Jake used to be fun. And Jake says, I was never fun. And Marco says, no, you were never smart, but you were always fun.
Yeah, that's pretty good. There were a few that I highlighted and I saw them as we were going through, but I didn't like bookmark them properly. So I did. There was one towards the end where when they get to the valley, Marco says, you know the rules. In the Garden of Eden, you don't wear clothes. Rachel, you can start.
Oh, yeah. Good old Marco the sex pest.
That's right. That's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah. He's got a lot of one-liners where like they don't stand on their own. But and I wasn't sure how much I wanted to deal with remembering that.
But certainly the one you read first was the highlight.
Yeah, that's the highlight. And I the fact that Cassie throws a snake on him as a punchline is good. Sometimes you got to be the punchline to make your joke work, and Marco gets it.
Yeah. Well, that's the rule, you know, if you say something sexist, you have to get hit. And then it's okay. As long as that happens, then you're a lovable character.
Right. It's like that old 90s anime trope where the guy would like sexually assault a girl, but then she would punch him and he would go flying off 30 miles away. So it was okay and it wasn't a problem.
Right. Same thing happens when I do that.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, there's another good one is Rachel asks Marco if he's going to whine the whole way. And he says, yes, that's the plan. Whine the whole way.
Oh, yeah. That was a good one. I did remember that one, but I forgot to write it down.
So some good ones.
Good. I'm glad we got Marco here.
We got Marco. All right. Let's get the fuck out of here. Listen, we'll read an email next week. If you want to get it in, send it to us at theyeerkyboys@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at theyeerkyboys. You can follow me on Twitter at Quentz.
Yeah. And you can follow me at DogTimesMcGee. Is
That's
that all
it.
we have
That's
to cover?
fucking it. Yeah.
Okay, let's end this. We Falana everyone for listening. Tune in next week when we'll be discussing the Andalite
Oh,
Chronicles.
wait. Don't we just quickly want to mention that we're gonna be doing things a little differently with that one, or?
We will. That's right what I was about to say, because we'll be discussing the
great.
Andalite Chronicles Part 1, Elfangor's Journey. Right?
Yeah.
We're going to be splitting it into 3 parts.
Right. That's the plan. So if you're gonna read ahead, only read part 1 for next week.
Right. That's right. And hopefully it'll be a little bit shorter because there's not as many pages, but I make no promises.
Me either.
Yeah. Well, we can't even get through the outro without delaying.
Right. So in which something
in which features an Andalite amongst the Darashol trees on the Yeerky Boys.
In which